Tell me what to do.
Hello and welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing this evening? I am Torben, your host, along with Amanda from Aftershock Media. And today on The Next Level, we have our wonderful friend Joel from Blue Microphone. If you're not aware of what we're doing today, guys, this is The Next Level. We are here to help educate, inform, and provide value to content creators around the world, helping them to take their content to the next level. That is the intention of our show and what we're doing. Today, though, we have our industry session where we're bringing our industry guests on and talking to them about their life and what they do and how things are going. So definitely, everyone, please give us a warm welcome for Joel. Joel, how are you doing today, buddy? Apparently, I have some bad reverb. So, Amanda, I'm going to turn it over to you while I try and fix my audio.
We love and appreciate all of the support. So Torben, did you want me to just jump into questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Awesome. Perfect.
I'm getting some weird mixed signals. Thanks, Ted, for the information. So still some reverb. Okay, well, I'm going to continue working on that.
Oh, it says I'm muted.
Yeah, I fixed it.
I'm not muted?
Yeah, you're not muted anymore. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Some minor tweaks that we're making. We got some new audio equipment. We're still scrubs. That's why Joel's on here to tell us what we're doing.
Yay! No one heard what I said. It was pointless what I said anyway. We'll just breeze right over all the love that I gave for Joel and Blue Mike, and we'll just go right into some questions. So for our industry segment, we're doing this a little differently. Obviously, there aren't any channels to analyze. We're not, doing any deep dives. What we're doing is, getting to know Joel first, and then understand what he looks like or looks at from an industry perspective when looking at content creators. And that's how we're going to tie it in to the last few weeks of our show. So Joel, I'd love to just understand how you got into the gaming space. Like, what was it that brought you here?
Sure. So to start, Blue is my first job. So this job is how I got into this space. I was in college and I found an internship posting on Reddit of all places. And it was from my now boss at Blue Microphones. And they were looking for somebody who had experience in PR and public relations and also understood the gaming community and the live streaming community. And at the time I was going to school for PR and I was obsessed with Twitch and gaming and all the community and all the people who are making content. So I applied, started as the intern, and sort of moved my way up to where I am now, where I'm managing all of our influencer activities, even outside of gaming, whether that be music or podcasting, cooking, ASMR, all of it.
That sounds amazing. ASMR. Wait, what? You just used it doing ASMR? Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So for Blue, ASMR is like, ASMR creators really love our mics. Like the Yeti is really widely used for ASMR, and now the Yeti X is too. And so I personally never watched ASMR or really was interested in it, but it's really cool to see that sort of content being made at all. And just the fact that it's there and it's popular and it's a new thing and it's kind of this whole new category of content creation I find fascinating, honestly.
So I'm just going to go sidetrack real quick, Amanda. The little microphones that have the ears on the side of them, do you guys sell those?
No, we don't make those. That's a company called 3DO, and they make those like that, those ear microphones like you mentioned. Really cool. But no, so for us, it's going to be like the Yeti series. That's the most popular for ASMR. Primarily because the Yeti kind of does the same thing where you can speak into both sides of it. It has a stereo setting, so you can get the left channel and the right channel like you can with the 3DO.
Awesome. I think our audio's fixed now.
Yay.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Well, dude, that's super cool. Okay, so you got into ASMR and like, do you still do that? Like, are you currently making content or is that?
Oh, no, sorry. I've never made ASMR content. I've
Oh,
become a fan through my work really. But I've worked with
okay,
several really cool creators in the ASMR space. Like there's a
okay.
girl here on Twitch. Her name is Mary J. Lee. She does awesome ASMR on Twitch live. And there's a few YouTubers as well that I like to watch and pay attention to.
Dude, that's awesome. I've never done it, listened to ASMR, but I hear that it's a thing.
Yeah, try it. I mean, like I think it's either a genetic thing or something related to your actual physical being, because either you have a reaction to it or you don't. Maybe kind of like eating cilantro, where like it either tastes good or it doesn't. But if you have the thing that it works for, I hear it's amazing. It's really nice.
I like the bedtime ASMR, like the sounds that are supposed to just like put you to sleep and
Mm-hmm.
anything to just like relax. I love those. That's really cool.
I mean, I like raindrops, so I guess I understand that a little bit. But
Yeah,
live
instead
in
of rain
Washington.
noise, it's people's voices.
That's fair. Fair.
That's awesome. So aside from ASMR, like do you have any like favorite games that you like to watch or that you even like personally play yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a WoW player. I've been playing World of Warcraft since 2006, I think is when I started.
Yes.
So that's always going to be like, my love and joy. So I watch
Okay.
a lot of WoW creators. I like watching like the LCS. I like League of Legends. I played it for a long time. I don't really anymore. Um, and I guess in terms of gaming, that's really all I watch. I mean, I pop into people's streams all the time as part of my job, and all the creators I work with for Blue, I always make sure to keep tabs on what they're up to. So I get to see a
Of
lot of
course.
different content.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if I'm like, if it's midnight and I can't sleep, I'm gonna put on a WoW stream probably, because that's
So
just what I
so
enjoy.
really, like, this is the most important question we're going to ask you today, for me personally, and it's very very critical you answer it correctly, and that
Oh
is,
God,
which side are you on?
Horde,
Oh, thank
no
God. Okay,
question.
I love you.
Yeah,
You're my best friend now. If you were going to say Alliance,
Yeah.
I would have just ended the stream right now. Just
no,
done. We're
Yeah.
not like no more. Nope. Goodbye.
Joel and I
I
would
literally
not be
can't play
friends.
Alliance.
Yeah, we would not be friends because I walked up to Joel and I'm pretty sure that was important. Obviously, I have the horde symbol tattooed on me,
Yes.
so that's a given. But he's still in existence in my circle, so it means he does not play for the Alliance.
All right, someone please ban Captain from the chat. He's a dirty, filthy Alliance. Okay, thanks. Bye.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, of course, meeting at BlizzCon, you're obviously a Blizz fan.
Yes.
I'm sure you saw the news that BlizzCon is not happening.
I know. It's actually really sad. And
Yeah.
I had whole plans, drawn up. Like I was gonna bring friends for their first time this year, and now we can't go. So it sucks.
So
I know.
I've never been to BlizzCon, and I've been playing WoW since vanilla. And
Yeah, you're missing out.
I know. I feel horrible about myself.
Yeah, no, that's
really
it's definitely a
fun.
must. Yeah, supposedly
really
they're
fun.
going to have something virtually 2021, so that could
Yeah.
be your first attendance, Torben.
True.
If DreamHack decides to send me, or someone else out there that loves me will give me a ticket, I'll go.
Right. Hey, I feel that. I feel that. So kind of along the lines of wrapping up some like personal questions and getting more into industry, I just kind of want to know from a personal level, like, is there someone in the industry or company that you like idolize? Like, is there someone that you're just like, oh, I love everything they're doing?
Sort of, yes. I really admire some of like the sort of top esports owners like Nadeshot or Steve from Team Liquid, like just the way that they've kind of risen in the industry and made a name for themselves and sort of done their own thing and been so successful at it, I think is really cool. Apart from that, on the creator side, I really admire Dr. Lupo. I've had the pleasure of working with him a couple times, and he does really great stuff. I mean, his content's amazing. He's funny. He's cool. And he has that, huge social aspect to it where he raises money for kids. And I just really admire that, someone of his level can spend so much of their effort and time on helping other people. And Harris Heller is another one. I love Harris. I work with him as well. And I like his content a lot because it's, helping other creators be better at what they do. So like if you go to his YouTube channel, it's called Alpha Gaming. He has, you know, all these tutorials, all these breakdowns. He compares gear. He tells you what camera you should use, what mic you should use, you know, what is worth what and things like that. So those are the people I really admire because, you know, they're not out at, you know, they're not doing it just for their own game. Like there's a sort of selfless component to what they do, I guess.
I love that. And I love the reasons that you look up to those people. That's really cool. Obviously you don't have to look up to me just yet. That's okay. One day my name will be on that list.
Hold on. I thought I'd be looking down at you.
Wait. Yeah, Joel, you're taller than me. I'm 5'2". Of course, you're all taller than me. Never mind.
That's right. I forgot you're very short.
But I have a big personality. People that have never met me or don't know me and then meet me for the first time actually think I'm like 5'6" or 5'8", because I don't know how that works, but like I guess I project like a larger human, but really, but really I'm small.
I when I first saw you, I was sitting down, so I didn't really understand your size until I stood next to you, and then I was like, oh, huh.
But you're also, how tall are you? You're like 6'1", 6'5". I don't even. Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow, yeah.
I'm a giant. I understand this. I impose force just by walking up to someone, and I don't intend to. Don't know why. Just I'm a big guy.
That's a double-edged sword, though, isn't it? I mean, it's good. Like you command a presence wherever you go, but yeah, you might be scary.
Yeah, it's not really good when you walk up to someone like, I don't know, the CEO of Discord and say, hey, I'm Torben, then they walk away from you because they're scared of you. Not a good thing.
Joel, how tall are you?
I'm 5'8", 5'9", like average height. Nothing special.
Just basic. That's okay.
Okay, so I have another very serious, like, you know, friend-breaking question. Because I see something in your background that I noticed, and it's sitting on your wall. And this is very important that we're very clear about this. Which side are you? Sith
Which side?
Or Jedi?
Like, I mean, Jedi. Like, anyone who's on the side of the Sith, it's like you're trying to be an edgelord. Like, you think the bad guys are cool, and that's what you're about, which is fine. But that's not who I am.
All right, hold on. So there's two different things here. One, there's the gray Jedi, there's the dark Jedi, which is the Sith, and then there's the light Jedi. So I'm more of a gray, but yeah.
Okay.
That's
like an Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah. Or, you know, Rey, because she's great.
I have a very serious question for you, Torben.
Yeah.
How would you feel if I told you I don't like Star Wars at all?
Where's the end stream button? I don't need to find that real quick.
That is sad.
I've watched like half of a movie, and I literally cannot.
Okay, so
this is no longer Joel's segment. This is now Star Wars.
I'm about to rage on you, like on a whole different level you don't even know.
I am a Trekkie fan. That is all. I don't do Star Wars.
That's fine and cool, but
thank you. It's wrong. I realize. I mean, you know.
Yeah. Here's what I say. You've never watched Star Wars with me. Because the reason why most people don't like Star Wars is they're not educated on the backstory and what the actual progression of it is, and they watch it in the wrong order most times, or they don't understand what's actually happening. Because Star Wars fundamentally is I could go on for this. You know what? I'm just gonna stop myself right here because I'm just gonna rage and just no, that's not why we're here.
If I had $1 for every time a guy said it would be better if you watched it with me, I would be rich. I promise you, I would be.
Yeah, and I would say that that's generally the wrong take. Like, if you're a super fan of something, you do not want to introduce it to somebody else that's never seen it before right next to them while they're seeing it, because honestly, you'll ruin it for them. I've done that to people with Star Wars. With the Warcraft movie was a great example. When that movie came out, I was like, we're going to go to the theater, we're going to watch it, and I'm going to whisper in your ear the whole time to explain everything to you, and it wasn't good.
Yeah, I was the same way with the Warcraft movie. Like, I sat there and I was like, and ruined it for a few people.
I was very disappointed in Warcraft. Just very disappointed.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
It was, it wasn't very, I mean, yeah.
From a person who's a story, like stories are my thing, and I get set heavily into lore, that movie was just like, I almost walked out. Like for me, when you look at everything that WoW put into their backstory and all of the content and all of the like there's a ton of stuff they left out. There's a ton of stuff they glossed over, and the character development wasn't there. Like we could literally have an hour discussion about movies in general because I love movies. Just saying. But again, we're gonna back on topic.
Anyway, I think we can now move on to industry questions. Now that we know who likes Star Wars and who likes the Warcraft movie.
Clearly not you.
Listen here, I liked Warcraft because I think it was putting nerd culture in front of people, and is the whole other issue because I think, like, back when I started playing World of Warcraft 14 years ago, it was a dirty sin to play, and now it's in freaking big movie theaters, and I think it's rad. But we will move on.
Okay, that's
like,
fair.
I used to be embarrassed to tell people I played World of Warcraft. Now I have it freaking tattooed. It's crazy.
But Pandaria. Yeah,
Pandaria was my favorite expansion.
Right there.
That was my favorite expansion. So I will not tolerate any Pandaria slander.
No,
that was fun.
Dude, it jumped the shark so hard because they had no other content to release.
I mean, yes, but the content they did release was great content. It was really good.
Kung Fu Panda, man. Kung Fu Panda. Like, come on. Like, okay. You know what? Again, we can talk about movies and like psychological behind movies and all this stuff, and just for hours. Like,
yeah, I don't want to fight you guys on your own show.
I want to fight. I'm ready to fight.
I mean,
I'm ready.
I will turn this show into just movies. Like, let's go. Like,
okay, so a big thing I get asked in my position, by my own content creators, with Aftershock Media Group, or just content creators I work with in general, is, very specifically, how do I get sponsored by brands? But specifically with you, Joel, I have many creators wanting to be sponsored by Blue, whether it's just with gear, with a stipend, whatever. I know you guys have a really cool model that we can discuss if you're comfortable with. But a big thing people want to understand is, what do companies look at? So obviously, please share as much or as little as you're comfortable with. I don't want you divulging any deep, dark secrets of what you do, but I just would love to understand on like a large scale and a high level, what do you personally look at, when you're scouring the internet, looking for, people to work with? What do you look for? Big picture.
Sure. I mean, honestly, I like this question. It's funny that you mentioned, like, I don't have to divulge any details, but I would like to.
Whatever you're comfortable with, by the way. I don't want you to break any secret rules or anything.
No, because I think this industry is kind of that way. It's sort of the Wild West. There's no rules. And so I'm sure if you ask anyone else that's in my position in a different company, they're going to have a different answer. But I would really like the industry to sort of come together and, all work together to be better at what we do and make standards and practices that we can all follow. But I mean, for Blue and the program that I'm running, apart from this obvious stuff, like, your numbers and your viewership and your social following and, whether you're, you have to be PC for the most part, and you can't be, homophobic or racist or a bigot in any other way. But what I really care about is that sort of unique content and unique perspectives towards content. Everyone knows, if you take the top 10 streamers on Twitch, they're all kind of doing the same thing. And it's obvious because that thing works and it's great. But I like to look for people who are doing different things. I want to see you playing a game that not many other people play, or, approaching your gameplay in a way that people normally don't. Or, if you have a particular perspective in life or in gaming that you are sharing with people, I think that's the cool thing about content creation, is that you can be whoever you want to be. So I want to find people who are themselves, all the way down to their core and in everything that they do.
So authenticity is very important to you.
Yeah, I mean, I hate saying that word because in this industry, everyone wants everything to be authentic all the time. And it's for good reason, because everyone should be authentic all the time, but it shouldn't be something that's forced.
Oh, no.
Should we lose him?
Joel turned into a robot.
Uh-oh.
There you go.
Say something, Joel. No, I was trying to fix the audio on the side, and it just decided to break on me.
Oh no, two of us are muted again.
Yeah, sorry guys. I was trying to fix
Just
the
start
audio.
dancing. Start dancing.
There we go. All right, I think I fixed it now. Maybe? Nope. Yeah. Let's try this. Say something. Oh, this stupid thing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to fix this so it works properly.
Testing. 1, 2, testing. So we can go back to talking about Star Wars again if you'd like while Torben fixes
no,
this.
please, God, no.
World of Warcraft? Anything?
Yeah, I fixed it now. I'm sorry.
Cool.
For some reason,
I personally like the Legion expansion a lot.
Oh.
Lots of green.
Wow.
Lots of evil stuff.
Wow. Just wow. You know what? I'm gonna be I like the Lich King. I love that fight. One of the best fights in the damn game. But anyways, sorry, we're fixing.
Okay, back to it. So authenticity. That's what we last heard, Joel. So you're talking about authenticity.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I hate to use that word, but I think it's really it's sort of an all-encompassing, around the idea of be yourself, be different, and be who you are. And I think the people who succeed in this industry are people who are themselves, to their core. Like they're not trying to be anyone else. They're not trying to reach some, level of personality or content that they think they should have. They're doing what they want to do. And if you're creative enough and you're talented enough and you work hard enough, you will succeed if you just stick to those things.
That's really cool. And I think that's a really good perspective, like big picture to look at, because I think it was our first stream. Someone asked us a question. They were like, how unique do I have to be to be noticed? And I think there's like a fine line between being so far out there that you're like, are you maybe on drugs? Like, what are you doing? Versus like going along with the herd in the stream and not standing out. So I think what you're describing right now is really great way to kind of explain that. Like you want to be doing something differently, but still within the realm of like you are playing a game, but you're not all the way out in left field doing that.
Right. And I think honestly though, those people who are out in the left field, I won't name any names, but there are some streamers and content creators out there that are known for being, off the wall, wild and crazy, and you never know what you're going to get from them. And that works too if you own it and you do it right.
That's awesome. So I'd also love to know then, kind of like down to the nitty gritty, what do you look for specifically? You can give specific examples, like what kind of Twitter following or what kind of views, just as like some examples, so people understand, what to potentially aspire to.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, in terms of numbers, I hate to really talk about numbers because I don't think that if you have 1,000 concurrent viewers versus 500 versus 300, 200, even 100 or less, that doesn't mean that you're making, worse content because you have less viewers. It doesn't mean that somebody's making better content than you if they have more viewers. So what I really look at, I mean, obviously there's a baseline and, I want you to have a certain level of community. And I think that's the most important thing to me is that besides the numbers, I look for a strong community. I want to know that your fans are your fans. They're not just fans of the game that you play or the topics that you discuss or fans of your friends who also stream and you kind of, you co-stream a lot or you do things together. That's all good and fun. But if you have your own dedicated fans from a brand perspective, that's what I want because I want to reach people who aren't anywhere else. And so if your fans only watch your channel, to me, that's the best thing ever.
That's awesome. No, that's super helpful. And I know that, you and I have worked together probably the last 6 months or so. So I know that very, very closely about you. You're like, okay, like numbers aside, like what does our community look like?
Yes.
Which I think is awesome.
So what you're saying is community engagement is important to you.
So using Twitter is important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all social media, I don't need you to be on every platform, but I need you to be good on the platforms that you're on, whether that's Twitter or Instagram, if you're a Facebook creator, if you're on YouTube, whatever it is that your main platform is. Yeah, I want to see activity going on. I want to see your chat being lively and not just spamming memes, but also talking to you and you engaging with them. or, you know, your comments on your Twitter posts and everything like that. Like I want to see, yeah, engagement, and not just manufactured engagement, but like people really interacting with the content.
That's really cool. Is there an example, and if you don't feel comfortable naming names, totally cool, but I'd love to know if you just have an example of a content creator that you think does this really well. Someone that, you know, our chat and anyone else, you know, watching this in the future can kind of look at and be like, oh, that's like a really great example.
Yeah, I can name a few. I think Harris Heller, who I named earlier, is really great, and he takes a different approach to each of his platforms, which I find interesting. And I think maybe that, I don't know this for sure, but to me, it's, you know, it would sort of create the effect of different parts of his community can engage with him the way they want to on those different platforms. So everyone's going to watch his videos and watch his streams. They might not be active in chat, but they might reply to his tweets, or they might comment on his YouTube videos. And so I think that's really cool. There's some people who are just, you know, incredibly charismatic and really awesome, and people want to hang out with on their stream and be their friend. Like Bloody Faster is a great example of that. I've worked with her a lot, and she's really good at that. Her community loves her, and it's because she's, you know, she's, like I said earlier, she's authentically herself, and she doesn't care what other people are doing. She does what she wants to do, and she's found success doing that.
Bloody's wonderful. I love that woman. So it's interesting you bring up Harris, because I've worked with him quite extensively as well, and I can say, being on his Discord and everywhere else, he definitely has that community vibe, and he does attack his different mediums in various different ways, which is a lot about what we talk about here. Is, you know, each platform is its own beast, and its own has its own metrics and things that you have to look at as far as analytics and how it's designed. And like Twitter may be different than how you interact with Instagram versus YouTube. Like the hashtags on Instagram are more important than some of the hashtags you're going to use on Twitter. Why is that? Because of the different metrics and analytics pick them up differently. And this is all stuff that we talk about with the content creators we have coming on. And you know, I know that that's part of the reason why you were so gung-ho with helping us, because we're trying to educate the general populace about a lot of this information. And you just reaffirming all of the stuff that we've been talking about just makes me feel so good, because we're not off the mark. We know that this is what the industry looks at. And so having you on to talk about these different things that matter to you when you're looking for influencers to potentially partner with them is awesome, because now it's not just Amanda and Aaron saying it. It's now Joel from Blue Mike saying it, right? And the more industry people we get coming on and talking with us about this stuff, the better it's going to be long term, to help educate the general populace about this, because we want everyone to learn what they should be doing, so that they can work with you more. They can do better with their content. They can get to that next level.
Yeah. I mean, it's a personal passion of mine, you know, to sort of help the community and the creators in it. Like I said, you know, earlier, I started out as a fan of, you know, I was watching streams and videos. And so it's really cool for me now in my position at Blue to also sort of, you know, work with people and help them elevate their content and their presence. And I'm grateful that Blue also shares the same values. And so, you know, a big focus of our company is to help creators be better at whatever they're doing. And so I'm lucky to work here and be able to have this opinion. Whereas at another company, I mean, I can't speak for any other company, and I don't really know anyone at other brands who are doing what I do. But, you know, I've heard from creators that some companies are, you know, hyper focused on numbers and they don't really care about all the rest. And that's just never the way I'll run my program. But, you know, I'm not anyone to say that way is wrong either.
That's definitely, you know, resonates with both Amanda and I. I know personally that I function that way too. Whenever I'm going to an event, numbers are just that, numbers. I want to see personality. I want to see someone who's actually going to do something that's going to make a difference, right? Not just for them, but maybe in someone's life. Maybe when they're streaming, it helps that one person not take that next step that is going to be life changing for them, that could potentially be harmful, right? Like there's so many people out there and so many streamers that can make a difference just by being themselves and streaming, that they don't even realize it. And those are the type of people I look for, right? I'm looking for people who are, you know, definitely not the norm. I use the analogy all the time of I could drop a stone at my feet and hit 20 affiliates. And that's kind of good and bad, because we have everyone streaming, but then you also lose some of the relevance of the good streamers, and you have to find them. You now have to dig to find these people, and it becomes more and more complicated. So being genuine, being yourself, being, you know, the person you are on stream and off stream is important. Don't just fake it. Be yourself. Like that's what I always say.
So I have a question for you, Joel. On our show, Torben and I have spoken about a big pet peeve of ours when it comes to Twitter. If your Twitter is only going live posts, it's a little, a little cringe. And so it's like a bit of a pet peeve of ours. It actually used to not be a pet peeve of mine, but thanks to Torben here, I cringe a little when I see that's all a channel has. So I'd love to know if there's anything out there that gives you that same kind of eye twitch as like a pet peeve.
I don't know if I would call it a pet peeve, but I think responsiveness is a big thing in this industry. Anyone who works with creators, you know, can relate to the experience that they're notorious for not answering their emails or being hard to get in touch with when you need to get in touch with them. And I think it's really important. I mean, for some people that are streamers, I understand that you just want to make content, you want to do your own thing, and maybe brand deals and sponsorships are not a major factor for that for you, and they're not something you prioritize, and that's okay. But if it is something you prioritize and you want to work with brands and you want to, you know, collaborate with, you know, other creators even, you have to be communicative. And I get that a lot of people who are making content, especially gaming content, are probably naturally introverted and not very, you know, open to networking and all that. I'm not either, and it's one of the things that I say is my weakness, is that I'm bad at networking. But I try. And so that's all I expect of anyone else.
That's a good, I think that's a really good example, and it's very true. That's something I'm personally working on, is understanding the flip side, because I'm not really like a gamer in the traditional sense. I come from sales. I've been in sales for 10 years. So I'm that total extrovert. So I'm like, why aren't they responding? Do they not want to talk to me? Like, what's going on? And then you just kind of realize, well, these are totally opposite people. So it's very interesting to see everyone interact like that in the same space. Like thinking back to our interactions, I'm like, is Joel just a little standoffish with me? No, he's just introverted.
Yeah. And especially at events and things, I totally get it. Because even still now, I will be afraid to walk up to somebody that I even know because they look busy, which, like, you know, there's really no reason to be afraid of talking to someone you already know. But it's that sort of social hang up that, you know, some of us have.
Bro,
I actually feel the same way, though. I remember seeing you at the Astro booth, and I was like, Joel looks really busy right now. I don't want to bother him. Meanwhile, you're just there, like, hanging out.
Yeah, I was the little opposite of busy. Like, I had nothing to do and nowhere to be.
There is such thing as an extroverted introvert, which is what I am. And I absolutely, like, I'm extroverted when I need to be and I can turn it on, but most of the time I love staying home and playing games. Like, just in general.
Yeah, 100% same.
So I feel that event life is a very, very interesting thing. I recently did 2 events back to back, and that I found out that was my limit. 2 events where you're gone from home for 3 weeks, not a great idea.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, I feel that. The past couple of years I've done TwitchCon and BlizzCon back to back, and I think wasn't this past year, but the year before, they were a week apart. Like, they were 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I mean, and I live in New York, so I had to fly to California and stay there for, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. It was wild.
Oh, that's rough.
It's exhausting, but it's so fun. I think Gamescom does that with PAX West, that it kind of like doubles back to back. So you're in Germany, and then you're all the way in Seattle.
God.
Yeah.
No.
But my extrovert self feeds on that. Like, I would be gone half the year if I could, just networking and talking to people, and I thrive off this. Like, this quarantine, like, I talk to my dogs like I talk to human beings now. Like, I have this high level conversation with my chihuahua wherever.
Okay, so seriously, the first time I met Amanda, I think we're at a bar, and it was like a bunch of people around, and everyone's drinking and doing a bunch of stuff, and I was like, okay, this seems weird. And Kevin's like, Torben, come over here, let's do this. And I was like, okay, I don't really feel like doing this, but I'm going to do it anyways, Kevin, because you're Kevin and you asked me to do it. And so I'm going to do it. And then Aiden's there and a bunch of other people are there and they're all talking, and then I met Tim. And I was like, all right, me and Tim, he apparently played Diablo 1 and online, which not many people have. So we instantly connected. Then Amanda had. And then for the rest of the weekend at PAX East, I saw her in one place the entire time. And every single time I passed by her, she had a different person there. And she was seated in this one spot and she was super engaged, like leaning forward, talking to them, legs crossed, just like having an in-depth everyone else didn't matter, like just every single time. And I walked by multiple times and she's just sitting here, just meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. I'm like, I'm tired from looking at that.
I love that stuff, man. Like, to me, I live off that. Like, I even for that specific event, I like cold DM'd people on LinkedIn, and they're like, "What's the catch? What do you want to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't know, man. I feel like we just need to know each other. Like, no catch here. Like, just want to sit down and know someone like in the gaming space." It's super awkward, but yep, I love it.
You did.
I don't know how we got on this topic, but I love it.
Because we're talking about extroverts and introverts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're way more extroverted than I am.
Yeah. I've had sales jobs where you have to hammer the phones like 100 calls a day. That hurts like the pit of my stomach. Like, I don't enjoy that. So this is a walk through the park, man. Like, we all have gaming in common, whether you play or you just like the industry. Makes it 10 times easier to have a conversation.
My record, 374 cold calls in a day.
Oh, that's so many. That's like soul sucking. That's exhausting.
Yeah. That was call center and yeah, I hated myself out. I would literally was done. I'm like, that was a 12-hour day and I was done. I'm out. Peace. But yes.
And the cool part is most of those people tell you no, so they're not pleasant conversations.
Rejection builds character.
Me too. I'm invincible now. Tell me no. No means yes for business.
No means yes, just a different way around. You're just not the right person to talk to.
Yeah, it means no right now for this moment.
And, okay, so story time, Joel. We have a very specific thing that we wanted to ask you because this is something that Amanda and I have talked about. We have nightmare stories, right? Of literally just like, what was the one thing that like, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I'm gonna say this, and you'd be like, "Yep, this is the one." It's the thing that you most remember, and just it doesn't have to necessarily be bad. It's just the one thing that just was like, "Okay, yep, I'm dealing with this today." What was that? Because everyone has one, and yeah, we want to know what that one was. You don't have to name any names. You don't have to give specifics. But what's your nightmare story?
Okay, yeah, I do have one in mind. So I won't name names. I won't even give details about who this person is. But they are a content creator. And it was one of those situations where they worked with somebody that I knew, and so that person made an introduction between us, and it was kind of a very friendly introduction. You know, I was just like, "Hey, cool, nice to meet you. You know, would love to talk about working with you." And this person sort of like immediately went into like very hardcore business mode, like right off the bat, and was like, you know, "This is how much my time is worth. This is how much it costs to sponsor my channel. I have this, and this accolade, and I do this, and this. And this is what I'm worth. And if you're not, you know, willing to meet that, then I don't want to talk to you at all." And I was like, "Oh, whoa, dude!" Like, yeah, like it was just really intense. And it put me off of working with that creator because I was like, you know, this is how you're going to be when we're first meeting each other and we don't even work together yet. I can only imagine what it's going to be like when we do.
Wow.
If you're going to be demanding like this and, you know, so combative at everything that I wasn't even asking for anything yet at that time. I was just saying, would love to work with you, period. And so, you know, I think like, I understand where that person was coming from and that, you know, their time is valuable and, you know, their reach is, you know, has a value to it. And yes, I want to be fair in the way that I compensate any creator I work with. But at the same time, it's like, let's have a conversation first. Like, let's work this out before you start, just drilling me with all these questions about how much money I can give you when I haven't even asked you to do anything.
So
I mean, that's a big mistake people make is just assuming empty or like bottomless pockets and being like, here's my pitch, go, without being like, hey, Joel from Blue Mike, what do you look for? What are your goals? What are your KPIs? And I think it shows a lack of interest in your brand and in you, and doesn't care what you want, just cares about what they want.
Yeah. And it goes both ways. I'm sure that there's, industry people who treat creators that way. But, you have to be the same way on both sides. If I'm reaching out to somebody, I'm going to do it in a very cordial way. I'm going to, focus on what they need and what they want and what their goals are, the same way that I would expect them to if they were contacting me.
So Joel, I've talked to multiple people about you specifically, and every single person I've ever talked to has said, Joel is the sweetest person on the face of this earth. I love working with him. Literally just got off the phone with DJ Blue yesterday, and he's like, you're working with Joel? That's amazing. I love that man. He's awesome.
I love DJ Blue too.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I try to be that way. It takes effort. Like, I don't think I'm a very naturally extremely nice person, but when it matters, you have to be.
I do. I would counter that and say that you are, in fact, a very nice person. You're a lot better than most people.
I definitely think you're a nice person, but that's okay.
Well, thank you guys.
That's a really interesting story. Like, I can definitely relate to that, and I personally think I've done that to people before, not from a content creator perspective, but early in my Wii sales days, you're just like, your pitch is on your mind. You're like, oh, let me just give you my pitch, and I'll come out guns blazing without actually like sitting back and being like, wait, what are Joel's goals even? Because then that could be an even more expensive pitch. I'm just saying, like, all intents and purposes, you could potentially ask for more money, but since you don't know what you want, who knows?
And and don't do it so aggressively. I mean, I love the pitch. I love getting a good pitch, but just be nice about it. I guess that's it. Just be nice.
Yeah.
I want to share this real quickly, just because I think it's funny and you're going to laugh at it. So I had one pitch that I had when I was in sales, and it worked. And it was literally this: I've been dating your voicemail for the past 3 months. I'm calling on to see if I can marry it. Just give me a call back. Here's my phone number.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to do like phone call pitches.
Bro, they were brutal. They were
I would never want to do that.
So on the flip side of kind of this like horror story, do you have a story, let's say like on another side of it, where you had like a really incredible experience and like this whatever content creator did amazing things?
Most content creators are great. I've only really had a handful of bad experiences out of the, at this point, hundreds of creators that I've spoken to, probably thousands that I've spoken to, hundreds that I've actually worked with. In general, I mean, to me, what makes a good interaction is, as I mentioned earlier, being responsive, making sure that we're in communication, and being eager, what I really love, and creators have done this in the past, where they're, they'll pitch me content ideas and say, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to feature the brand and involve the product, and talk about your company while I'm doing this bit of content. To me, that's awesome. I mean, I work with creators because they create things, and so for someone to come to me with a packaged idea that they already have ready, that they can either tailor to my brand or they created with my brand in mind, is the best case scenario. And I know that's a lot of work, and I don't expect that from every creator or any creator really, but if it happens, it's great. It's really great.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's kind of similar to me reaching out to you to be like, well, we don't have a few $1,000s for equipment. This is what we're going to do regardless.
Yeah. Do
you want to be part of this? Like Torben and I were on the phone for almost an hour rewriting that email because I was like, every word needs to be perfect. We have to I don't want it to be like, and give us this, that, and the other. But like, for example, our ask was just, I think we just said flat out, any way that Blue wants to support us, we're open to.
Right.
So like, you want to give us a $5 Starbucks gift card? hey man, we'll take it. Like, we appreciate you, you know? So I think there are definitely tasteful ways to go about things. And I'm sure you get a lot of pitches for ideas and you know, getting gear and stuff. So obviously we appreciate you hearing us out and backing us up. It means so much to us.
You know,
and I think you guys are a great example of having content that's unique and interesting and different, because, you know, that's why I fell in love with this project in general. Is, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. You're helping creators. I want to help creators too, so I'm glad to help you. And that was really the biggest thing for me. And obviously I knew you, Amanda, and, you know, I knew that you would be great to work with. So it was a win-win on all sides, I think. But yeah, that was the most important thing to me, is this content is a good idea. So let's make it.
Joel, I just want to point out that she was literally using Bluetooth earpods before.
Our first
so terrible.
episode was I used AirPod Pros for the mic and the.
You
used the mic on the AirPods too?
Dude, what I had nothing. Those are literally how I use stuff. Like, I have like old SteelSeries headphones that I used for like gaming, but I couldn't figure out how to hook the mic. I am not a tech person. I was confused.
So
I couldn't figure it out.
This is actually something I want to show right now, because we can, is the difference in quality between the microphone that you sent us and a bad microphone. I'm not going to say the headset manufacturer of what the one I'm going to do right now, but I want to show everyone on Twitch what happens when you use a bad mic versus a good mic. And this is something we've been at everyone in chat's been asking us to do, is more audio type stuff. So let me switch over real quick. You guys continue talking. I'm going to make some small adjustments, and then I'm going to come back and you guys can hear exactly why this is bad.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, not to make it a brand pitch, but it's true. You know, I mean, you don't have to invest very much, but just having quality stuff, especially if you're creating content, even on, I mean, I don't stream, I don't make content, but I have a good microphone, I have a good camera, you know, like I have lighting just because just for my, you know, business and doing like calls in general. I think having that level of production value, it helps so much.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And just to segue into a little bit that we had discussed previously about affiliate links and discounts. So I guess I just want to let chat know that soon, once Joel lets us know it's happening, we will have a discount code for everyone to use. So obviously you don't have to get the type of equipment we have. It's absolutely not necessary for starting out. Joel, I know you always recommend the Snowball or the Yeti. It's like a great starter mic. And with our discount, you'll probably be looking at under $150 and then under 100, I think, for the Snowball, right?
Well, the Snowball's already under 100. They'll both be under 100 with the discount, if I'm doing my math right. I think so.
It's too early to math, but so stay tuned for that. I'm super excited. I know we've had so many people ask about that, and that is definitely on the horizon as soon as that gets sorted out on your end, Joel.
Yeah, totally.
So can you guys hear me?
Yep.
So this is what it sounds like on a headset microphone. I am not using the Snowball or I'm not using the baby bottle right now. This is just a audio, just to show you guys the difference. So you hear the audio quality of this microphone. It's not phenomenal. And headset mics notoriously are not meant for live streaming. They're literally meant for just like communication on Discord and things like that, if you're doing like meetings or whatever. Now, when we switch and go back to our other microphone, and
it's beautiful.
Over to
this one, we hear the main difference in the audio quality right away. And this is something that I wanted to show people because it's important to understand how audio affects the stream itself and how people hear you and what happens, because a clear piece of audio is more impactful to the viewer than anything else. If you can't hear your host or the person you're listening to clearly, most times you'll lose viewership because people don't want to hear garbled in the background cave noise. And I know that's what that sounds like because I've done a lot of video testing or audio testing itself. So this is one thing that I wanted to show live on stream of like, this is the audio quality that we're getting. It's a tin can versus a radio announcer. Those are the vast differences, and this is the type of things that Blue brings to the table. So we're now at the point in our show where we want to actually start opening it up to questions. So anyone has questions for Joel, if not, we're gonna bullshit for the next 15 minutes or so, because that's what we're gonna do. We're probably gonna start talking about World of Warcraft. So if you don't have any questions, that's where we're going. I'm just letting you know now.
We're
bring
warning you.
questions. Bring questions, and then we will be announcing the winner for our Yeti X mic.
So I
Yes.
hope you're in chat, because if you're not, we're gonna redraw.
So stay here.
But yeah, I mean, I can add to what you said, Torben. One thing I love to say is, the best stream is one that you can walk away from and just listen to and still have a good experience. Like, obviously it's a video platform, and watching what's happening on screen is a huge part of it. But the best, if you look at television or radio announcers, radio sportscasters are a great example of this. They can tell you what's going on without you being there and without you being able to see it. And so even beyond the quality of your microphone, your skill at speaking and relating what's going on with your voice is so important.
So Sissy Panda is asking, how do you know how and when to start asking for paid sponsorship? That is a fantastic question.
Ooh, that's a good question.
That is a really good question. Thank you for that question, Sissy Panda. So honestly, I don't think it's ever too early to start asking for paid sponsorship, especially if you're making content that's relevant to the brand and that is different from what they're currently doing from a marketing perspective, or that if you offer a different demographic or a different perspective on, in your content, then ask for, or at least let whoever you're speaking to at that brand know that you're interested in paid opportunities. I don't know that that's something you want until you ask me. And the worst that's going to happen is I say no, but now I remember you asked. So when something comes up that I think you're a good fit for, I'm going to think of you. In terms of how you get paid, it really depends. Some brands do have, like contracts where they have ongoing content from the creator and they pay them a monthly, fee. Some things are one-off. Some things are short-term. And I mean, really, my leadership might kill me for saying this, but you can get paid for anything. If you ask to get paid and you make it clear that you want to be paid for what you're doing, then they're going to have to be forced to pay you for whatever it is that you do. Or yes, you run the risk of them going to someone else who might work for free, but that's true in any creative industry. So You just have to know your worth and stand behind it. And you might get less, but at least you won't get nothing,
Right. So
And
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, and another thing to add that a lot of people aren't aware of, that obviously there are paid sponsorships, but as you're growing a big thing for content creators is non-paid sponsorships, where you have like the affiliate and or where gear, like product, is exchanged for the sponsorship. So, obviously when you get to a high level, you're 9 out of 10 times getting paid. But for example, I'll even use our talk show right now as an example. Our sponsorship with Blue, transparently, we don't get paid, but they were kind enough to send us a lot of really amazing gear. To me, that is an incredible sponsorship. I don't need to get paid. We don't need to get money from them in order to feel that they support us. So it's not always about money. But on the flip side, we could get a sponsorship for a one-off ad. Let's use the example of Skillshare. Great website. They would likely pay us a one-off fee in order to talk about it for 60 seconds. So that's not a long-term partnership like what Blue and us has, but it's still a paid partnership nonetheless, if that makes any sense.
And I want to repeat what Jungle Jim said in chat. Gear is payment. It has a cash value, and you don't just get gear for free. There's an expectation that you do something for the brand that you're getting it from. And so, in that sense, it is kind of a paid sponsorship. It's just not paid in money.
Exactly.
It's just a different form of payment. And really, just to give some transparency about us, immediately when we got this gear, we went in and documented as its cash value of this is what's being paid by Blue to us to have this on as far as our show. And that's so that we understand what the value you're bringing to us versus what we're bringing to you. And that's why we talk about you all the time, right? We want to promote the best of the products in the industry, and we want to make sure that the things that we're using are good in quality. And that's also when back to the discussion that we had of, I said, this is the stuff that I'm using right now, Joel. Unless I can get an upgrade, I can't take your gear, and nor would I, because that's a disservice to you. I can't downgrade in order to promote a product, but what I will do is either get the same or upgrade, because then I can actually have a better performance coming across. And with, you know, Amanda, who literally was coming from nothing, it was such a massive upgrade for her. It's just like, it also made sense for us to do it then too, because I saw the inherent value of not just working with you and the technology, but the benefit that you bring to the industry and how we can actually help support content creators and the education piece. So just that little piece of me showing the difference between the two mics, right? That is powerful. Right? Being able to show what your technology can do. Like the headphones we're using, phenomenal. Like some of the best audio I've ever heard in my life. So it's this type of stuff that you bring to the table, and you help us in such a massive way that we're super thankful. So thank you for being a sponsor of the show. Thank you for coming on the show. You know, we both love you greatly, and we cannot say enough how awesome you are and how awesome it's been to work with you.
Well, thank you. That's awesome to hear. I appreciate you guys. I mean, I think what you're doing is fantastic, and I'm happy to help it however I can.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And for those who don't know, check out Twitter. Torben rags on me several times for not knowing how to use equipment and putting things on upside down and backwards. So that's very fun.
We literally spent like 30 minutes trying to figure out why her arm was slowly going down. And then she sent us a picture, and we're like, Amanda, flip your arm around. It's wrong.
I do my
so
best.
Funny.
I do my best.
I'm dying. You know what's even worse is Tim. Come on. Anyways.
Yeah. Also learned that the logo is not supposed to face the camera. It's supposed to face me.
Yeah.
I just learned that about 45 minutes ago. So.
And if you're not following Joel on Twitter, please go drop him a follow. He's a fantastic person just to be. He's got some funny tweets out there. So, you know, be on the lookout for him. He's a great person to just get to know in general. Be nice. If you are not nice and I find out you were not nice, I will hunt you down. Like, that's not a threat. That's a promise. All right, so,
yeah, I will say, anyone, you know, if you're a creator or anyone else, feel free to reach out to me, ask me any questions. I'm happy to give advice or help anyone who needs it. So hit me up.
So now, Joel, I did post in our chat who the winner is. So they do have to be present in chat in order to win. So if they are not here, we will redraw. So if you want to go ahead and announce who the winner is of our first ever.
Sure. Should I say their full name or their
Twitter handle? Twitter handle.
Twitter handle? Okay.
Yeah, Twitter handle is probably the best here. That way we're, you know, keeping privacy and not doing anything wrong. And I don't know if they're in chat, but I'm gonna double check right now. So just go ahead and, you know, we'll announce the winner. Okay,
so the winner of the Yeti X microphone, the very first giveaway on this channel, is BK2144 on Twitter.
If you are here, BK244, please say
2144.
2144. Please say something in chat. You have 30 seconds. Wait, you won? Jungle Jim, is that you?
You'll have to prove it's you, so don't lie.
Mods, can you please verify that Jungle Jim is in fact that person? No? Okay, no. Jungle, seriously. Stop trying to troll. All right, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds while we do. That's what we're doing with our lives. If we don't see you post in chat in here just a minute, we are going to redraw. How do I sign up? Kevin, you can't sign up. The competition's already closed.
Yeah.
Bro. I need a mic. Well, you know, I can't.
Kevin, don't you have a mic?
Kevin has a mic for sure.
Kevin, come on, dude. Come on. All right. It does not look like he is there, so I'm going to repick. 10%. It's going. So the next one, I love this name. I'm gonna post it to you. I'm hoping that they're here. If we get to the third one, we'll just post it on Twitter and just be done with it. That way we don't have to sit here and continually do this over and over again until we find a winner. That is the next person who was just picked for it. Oh, come on. Don't do that to me.
It didn't go through.
I'm aware. It's being done.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here. I'm just going to post the name to you. How about that? How about that?
That works.
There. That's the name.
Okay.
It's hilarious. Do you know that
All right.
person?
Yes, I know this person.
Okay.
Oh, no, I want to make sure that he's on.
Do you want me? You can announce it, Amanda.
No,
if you're
you
excited.
do. You.
Okay. Our next winner, hopefully they're here, is
Please.
at Platypus Hobo. Platypus Hobo, if you are in chat, say something quickly.
That is a
So that
very
you can
good
bring him
friend of mine from BlizzCon days, and I'm so excited for him. But if he's not in here, he doesn't get to win. So
Wow.
one of my Tito's friends, find him now, please.
Yeah, he gets. We'll give him a minute. We'll give him a full minute because he's a friend of the show. He's not in chat. I'm here, Kevin. We already know you have a mic. Stop it, Kevin. Kevin's over here trying to steal the mic from people. Why you gotta be like that, Kevin? Why you gotta be like it? Okay, so Joel, I know you're playing something. What are you playing?
What game?
I heard a bunch of clicking.
Oh, I was just typing.
Oh, dang it! I
was
like,
like-
dude, you're totally playing like
picked up World of
DMT or
Warcraft.
something. No, or playing
Really
WoW.
think
I'm raiding
I
right
would
now.
be playing WoW in the middle of your show?
Dude, I would respect it hardcore because I'd be like, yo, he's raiding and doing a talk show.
No, I'm not. I do have to raid tonight in Classic, but not for a few hours.
You know
Ooh,
what? I picked up Classic.
I'm playing Classic now. Yeah, I play retail too, but I don't raid in retail. I just kind of, fool around.
That is awesome.
What's your main?
I priest.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
A protection?
Are you healing?
I'm a healer. Yeah, I play discipline in Classic. But as soon as I can, and if they release Burning Crusade, I'll be going Shadow because that's been my main since Wrath of the Lich King. I've played a Shadow Priest.
I played a Retribution Paladin, even when Retribution Paladins weren't good and everyone hated me. And then I finally just like caved and went prot. But I Paladin life, man. That's just my class.
I feel you. I have a guildie who's very excited to make his Blood Elf Paladin as soon as Burning Crusade launches.
Oh God, yeah, I know, right?
And it's a lifestyle, I guess.
It is, dude. It is absolutely a lifestyle, 100%. You are a paladin, just like I'm a titan. Like I'm a titan and a paladin. Those are the two things I am. All right.
Yes, he's here. He's coming.
here.
He's here.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
here.
He's
I
here.
promise.
He's here. Okay.
promise.
You promise? You promise? All
I
right.
promise.
There he is.
Yes,
He's here. Hey. Platinum Sobo, you are the winner of the first ever. We will message you separately on how to collect your prize. Thank you for playing in
Oh my gosh.
the stuff and things that we're doing.
I sent probably 500 messages in a span of 90 seconds, alerting every single person to find him.
Amanda is spamming the crap out of him. Like, why are you not here?
He is an incredible human being, father of a lot of children. I can't keep track, to be honest. And I know he's busy, which is why I'm like, let me just make sure he's around.
All right.
Well, congratulations, Platypus Hobo.
You are the hoboest of hobos of platypuses.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. My bad. My phone was on service. Was horrible. It's fine, man. Alrighty. Well, Joel, again, thank you very much for being here and being on the show. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate the support and everything that Blue does provide for us. We definitely are looking forward to in the future and having you back with us on the next level.
I'd love that. Thank you guys for having me. I had so much fun.
So just so everyone knows, we're now going to be transitioning to the next. Wow. Okay. I need to actually not do that beforehand because I'm silly and I don't have things on. We're going to be transitioning to our next guest, which is Ghostly Kevin. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thanks for participating and being here. So we'll be back in just a little bit.
Yeah. Only. Oh, yeah.
That's a good clip there. Good clip.
That was.
Hi.
Okay, well, now I'm not muted anymore, and now people can actually hear me. This is phenomenal. See, I'm a pro streamer. I'm a
The
pro
context for
streamer.
like me throwing my headset and everything now is probably so confusing to people.
They're so confused. So we transitioned back with everyone seeing Kevin walking away from his headset because we basically told him not to be a racist piece of ass. And he said no, and he refused and threw away. And I'm not.
Yep,
that's
absolutely
obviously not Kevin. But anyways, welcome back, guys. We are here with our wonderful friend, a ghost of Kevin, or Kevy, or Kevon, as some people like to call him. We already know because there's a tweet about it, and this is the thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we
It's
actually
like-
have done that. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
It's
we
true.
did Kevon.
Kevon.
So if you don't know who Kevin is, he's a phenomenal person in the market, and industry in general, and just an amazing person himself. And both Amanda and I love him dearly. So this is part of the reason why we wanted to bring him on, because Kevin is just a general piece of amazingness in a little ball. I want to just like hold you and hug you and just be like,
You're one of the few people I think outside of Robert that can actually do that too.
Mhm.
Like I actually had someone ask me not too long ago, like if you had ever picked me up and cradled me like a child after like one of the
next event, we're gonna do that. We're gonna figure out how to
indie
do
showcase. You're just gonna come on camera and cradle me like a child.
Yep.
And into intermission.
And and now intermission, pick up and walk away. I've done that to people before.
I've seen it.
So yeah, we're gonna directly jump into this. So just so everyone knows what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be talking with Kevin a little bit, getting to know him and getting to know more about him and what he does and where he comes from and the things and stuff and places and all of the goodness. And then after that, for the first time ever, we're gonna be doing a live review of an influencer contract. So we're gonna have two things that happen. First, we're going to go through and review what a bad contract looks like. And then secondly, we're actually going to be reviewing an active contract that is sent out to influencers today and show you the difference between the two of them. Both Amanda and I have actually helped with this contract along with Kevin, who is the author of it. So this is part of the reason why we wanted to have him on here to actually talk about a lot of this stuff and talk about what is good and bad about contracts and why it's important to be watchful of the things that can be put into them. So Amanda, I'm gonna let you and this lovely person talk for a minute while I don't know, just sit here and look pretty.
You make sure that we're not muted.
Hey,
Is there someone else on the show? What lovely person are you talking to, Amanda? Do I need to leave?
I don't know. Torben said all these really, really nice things about someone, and like I don't see this person on the call, but Kevin and I, we can just pick up.
Is there like there's a block right here that I feel like there's a guest that just didn't turn their cam on? Like what is going on here?
Yeah, someone's just missing from right there. Anyway, Kevin, you and I go way, way back, obviously. So I already know many things about you, but I know that our audience would love to know way more about you. So I'd love to just get started in like, how in the world did you get into gaming, into the position you're in? Like, how did you become this like all-knowing being that you are?
So when I was 16, I was living out on my own, and there was a card shop that I spent a lot of time at, and then at night, and after school. And TLDR ended up becoming someone that ran events for them. Because those events went well, a different shop in a different city actually hired me to help manage the shop. Worked my way into a partial ownership. Sold that, which bankrolled my ability to get into video games. Right as we were wrapping up my judge career, for those of you that play Magic the Gathering, I used to be a judge for that as well. Really enjoyed the GP circuit. But League of Legends was just taking off. It was like right after the end of season 1, going into season 2, and I was actually garbage at video games. To this day, I still am garbage. Don't think that's changed at all, guys. It's only gotten worse. But a friend of mine had a really bad experience playing in a community tournament. And I was trying to understand, like, as someone that never played games, didn't get the concept of entering into tournaments at all, I was just like flabbergasted because every negative thing they had to say about it was built around an experience with their teammates who they now never want to play with again. And long story short, that turned into Victorious Gaming. We were the largest tournament provider for single individual entry tournaments. We were the first people to pioneer that. Our system is actually what you guys probably now know as the Clash system that's built into Riot's platform. Ironically, we used to call our events Clash for Cash. We exceeded a little over $2 million, I think, in RP that actually went out over the course of a couple of years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think
after
whatever
that-
you said offended Torben because he just like got up and left, man. That was crazy.
I left out that actually there was a small time window in there that Corbin and I had a love child. So he's probably just
He's like,
upset.
screw this.
He's
just
like, I
kidding,
didn't
guys.
get my due respect.
He's checking on his dogs. I just wanted to throw that out there. He's cool. Go on, Kevin.
So like after that, one of the things that like always blew my mind about my time at BG was the sense of community. The biggest resounding thing that I took away from that experience over 3 years, which for those of you that might be considering the startup scene or might feel like you're overworked, to give you context, I manage a staff of 217 volunteers ranging from 16 to 21 years old. We had a few people over that, but that was pretty much the age gap. And I did 16 hours a day, literally every day for the 3 years that I was in startups. I have actually pictures of running a live event on Christmas Day from my grandparents' living room because I told my family I couldn't not work. So it's a
Wow.
grind. It's fun, but it built up this sense of community and appreciation for human interaction that like I up to that point didn't really grasp the scope of, because it's one thing to like interact with people on a face-to-face level, even conventions, but
Mhm.
having like a international community was just the concept of putting a home together for people blew my mind. And it was around that time I got asked if I wanted to help work with a nonprofit that a lot of you folks in the chat obviously know, called Stack Up. It's a military-based nonprofit that helps de-stress combat zones downrange for people that are deployed, as well as helps curtail some of these side effects and onset of PTSD through video games. So I had the huge pleasure working with a ton of vets there. Spent about 2 years working my way up to the chief operating officer, and then eventually for the last 6 months I was there, the chief development officer. Took a little bit of time off. Ended up working with about another 4 or 5 nonprofits. The folks over, shout out to the people at One Up on Cancer, Charity Nerds, and the lovely Betty's Bombers, which is a more recent addition. And I'll probably chat with those folks later. But it gave me now an impression of not only can community be powerful, but the video game industry could be harnessed as a power for good versus, the Mountain Dew chugging, Dorito eating, angry incel community that we're all known for.
Right.
So yeah, I did that for a couple years. Then spent a little time over the folks at Ghost Gaming, WeMaps esports team, and then just got done with a nice, almost 2-year sprint with Tencent's advertising network Fanbyte. And here I am.
Here you are, ready to roll.
So sorry about that. My puppy was screaming bloody murder, and
No worries.
he needed to go outside.
I told everyone that you were very offended by what Kevin was saying, and you got up and left forever.
Yep.
I told them that you were mad because I didn't disclose our love child early on in my career.
That too.
Wow.
That too.
I know we promised that we'd wait till he was 18, but I think he has a right to know.
No, he doesn't. Steve, you're not mine.
That's amazing. So you obviously have like a very colorful history and past and like existence within gaming. That is really cool that you're so passionate across like so many mediums. So I guess like from someone from your perspective, I'd be really curious, and I asked Joel this earlier, who is like your role model or your idol within the industry?
Ooh.
And you don't have to say me because Joel didn't, so like don't feel pressure.
It's a really tough one. I will say, and I would say this genuinely, I've had the immense pleasure of working with so many amazing people. Thanks to the nonprofit stuff I've done and kind of an open door policy on social. I would say it's probably a really close tie between Ben Williams, who is one of the senior project managers for Xbox's special interest groups. They do like the LGBTQIA in gaming, women in gaming, Latinx in gaming. Those are all his programs that he oversees. Or probably Linda Carlson or Katie Postma. Those are two, if you are working in the community side of the industry, absolute legends. The early days of Disruptor being with the Game of Thrones games. Linda Carlson headed up like Mythic's community development, EverQuest. She's very well known for being a literal dwarf in ILL. They were my two moms when I first started off, getting my first job as a customer service rep using Zendesk of all things back in the day.
Wow.
God.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a throwback for those of us that have done that pain.
Wow.
Woo.
That's
Yeah.
that happened. That was a time in our lives.
Oh yeah. No, I don't. Cannot make me want a macro write ever again after that. I'll admit it.
So we had our own proprietary software at the place I worked, and it worked off of Zendesk, and we had to handwrite all of the things.
Oof.
It was fun.
Oof.
I feel you.
Yeah. Wait, do you guys have Mixer chat in your Twitch chat?
Yes.
Yeah, we have the bot that shoots it in, but I don't
So-
think it shoots out, right? Like you can't.
No, it does.
So
This translates to all different streams. So we are multi-streaming to Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube at the same time, so that we can ensure that we are hitting all of the different audiences and educating as many people as possible.
Wow.
We want to touch them all, Kevin. All of them.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that one. That makes sense then. Yeah. I'm no longer surprised anymore.
Kevin brings out the weird puns in me. Only him. Literally only him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I remember our chat this morning.
They
don't
shouldn't
even
make
know what
such
it was.
expressive emojis if they didn't want people to use them like that.
That's fair. That is fair.
That's all I'm saying.
You're not purple, Kevin. You're just not.
Yeah, and your hand's not yellow. We covered this.
I know.
I could be yellow depending on how I move my camera contrast. We could make it a reality.
Oh, okay. That's live streaming IRL. Let's go.
Anyway, I have a gaming question for you, Kevin.
Go for it. What you got?
So obviously you've spoken about all the charity work and all the community management. I'd love to know, like, what are you personally playing right now?
Ooh. So you guys actually get an answer for I think the first time in a couple of years. I will admittedly say the years and years of having to run all those tournaments for League burnt me out on games for a couple of years. It wasn't until I think in the last like 2-3 months since starting to do work with a new company I'm sure we'll chat about here in a bit, that I started playing again. And I think right now I've gotten dragged into Valorant, even though I am garbage at FPSs. It's like Fortnite, and everyone I tell them, like, I don't have enough Adderall or enough risks to do all of this. I mean, like, I can do this, but I can't do all of this. Like,
Bro.
Can't.
Bro. It's DPI. Set your DPI to 400 and leave it. That's
have a half Minecraft, half Counter-Strike brain in order
No.
to play some of these games.
Mm.
It just doesn't work for me. But I will say a little brag moment here. For the first time ever in my life, I did hit plat in a Riot game. I do play TFT. I actually love the shit out of TFT. Yay. And I laugh because anyone that's known me back in the day would know that for someone that ran as many tournaments as I did, I'd never got out of gold in my entire life. So I was happy about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so playing that, is there anything, and I know you probably don't have enough hours in the day to sit there and like watch someone stream, but do you have any streamers that you currently enjoy watching, or?
You can say
So
us,
we
it's fine.
You could say
I actually was going to say you guys because I do watch y'all's show.
Flattery will get you far with us. Very far.
It's true. I've seen both of them after show hours. Let's be honest.
This is also true.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss that 10-cent expense account. But anyway, yeah. Actually, there's a couple of people. I will admit, for the longest time, I was really, really bad about watching streamers. Just because I didn't play games for the longest time. But in the last probably 5 or 6 months, outside of the folks that I've watched on and off over the years, I've started picking up more people that I try and put on a side monitor and keep an eye on. And a lot of them have been people that are super community centric. So Tiger Lily is a really good example of one of the people that I like to watch. Really, really connected with an audience, has good engagement in chat, has awesome streamers that she collabs with, like our good mutual friend Robot Giggles, who is amazing as well.
Yep.
So that's one of those folks that I keep a good eye on. Outside of that, I try and skim through, as weird as it may sound, below the fold games on the Twitch page or the Mixer page to try and find folks that I normally wouldn't run into, just because, especially without shows now, where that was my engagement point for a ton of people. Since I don't have that, that's some of the ways that I can explore and see people that I normally wouldn't see.
I like it. I like it a lot. I know I'm definitely going to miss seeing you guys at shows. I know we just talked about this with Joel,
What
but
do you mean, you guys?
both of you. I'm not going to see either one
What
of
do
you.
you
at a
mean, you
convention.
You're
guys?
seeing us right now.
I mean, at a convention IRL where we
Wow.
can. Anyway.
Wow.
This is my official role in every show I come on. It's like, hey, we have this really professional, concentrated format, and then Kevin shows up.
And it all goes to shit.
Boom. Kevin.
Anyway, one more personal question before we move on, and I think this is possibly relevant for you, Kevin. What is your dream job and/or dream company? Like, sky's the limit. What do you want?
I would say dream job. And actually, I think you might be one of the few people that knows this because a lot of folks don't ask this. I actually dream job for me is being a professor. I've always wanted to teach. I will admit I have not got the schooling for it. I've worked with a few programs that are developing like esports management courses right now. Ideally, I've even done some guest lecturing at USC for some of their classes too. But I love working with people. I love educating the next generation. It's what's got me interested in nonprofits, community work, all of it. Probably won't ever do that unless someone wants to throw out like an honorary role, which would be cool. But till then, I'll stop by friends' classes and teach their classes for them. Cough, cough. But other than that, company-wise, ooh, that's a tough one. Like not to humble brag, but I mean, like I've done Weedmaps esports team. I've now done sales for Tencent. I think probably without naming a specific company just yet, I would say a role that would allow me to continue that engagement, to work with tons of passion projects like I do now, and not be stuck on like the same thing every day. Which I do currently have something I'm doing that's like that. But we can talk about that later.
Hashtag
I
later.
think that's awesome.
Soon, TM. Soon. Oh, damn it! Now I owe Blizzard 50 cents. Ugh.
Oh no! Might be more with the quarantine going on.
Oh, good lord, you might be right. You might be right.
Rude.
Let me move that dollar over on Venmo real quick.
Ugh.
CC trademark use.
So,
The worst part is like I actually like know one of their previous like copyright and IP lawyers, and I'm sure if Matt, if you're watching right now, you're probably kicking me upside the head for improper use of that. So thanks. Appreciate
wow.
that.
So Kevin,
That's awesome.
we asked this earlier to Joel, and the question is, because everyone has one, and you're watching when we asked it, and you know.
Oh, this is the nightmare question.
Yeah, what is your nightmare story? We have to have your night, like everyone has like one or two that they think of immediately. Like I have like 3 or 4 because events, you know, it's a thing. But what is that one nightmare story that you have for us? And I know you have lots of stories, so give us a juicy one. Come on, Kevin, you got it in you. I believe in you.
Does this need to be like influencer based?
Doesn't matter.
Anything.
Oh, anything.
Could be a company, a brand, or an influencer.
I'll do 2, but only because the first one's really quick and because everyone here will get a laugh out of it personally. My absolute overarching worst has to be the venue that I used for TwitchCon's After Dark party. Anyone that went there would know they cut us from 2 lines that were supposed to be at the front and back of the building, so we had 2 blocks of line space. Rather, it cut us down to 1. Security was not checking IDs or tickets at all, which like was massively bad. The open bar wasn't properly managed. I think we ended up actually like having to put down an extra like 3 or 4K literally at closing because they were like, "Oh, by the way, you went over," and we're like, "What?" So that was just a mess overall. But a lot of people had fun. Emo Night guys are awesome, so I love that. On an influencer side, I would probably have to say, and some people are gonna probably get mad at this one. Back in the day, and this is probably one of the only ways you never get on my bad side, which a lot of folks know is really, really hard. Back in the day, there was a fundraiser that we were doing for the vets, and it was one that I helped pioneer as a campaign called Home for the Holidays. Specifically, what it was built around the idea that like I went through as a kid growing up that I didn't have my parents around for holidays sometimes because they were divorced or things were going on. But you know, there's always that stress, especially for military personnel, on being able to give your kids a present. You can't really do that when you're like, you know, over here in Afghanistan and they're over here in like Alabama. It doesn't really work. So what we did is we went to a ton of indie developers, ton of amazing companies that donated digital game codes and they were all multiplayer games that we got more than one key for, so people could connect and play. The counter side to that, though, was there was supposed to be a component where all these games got played by a bunch of I'm not going to name specific names, but they're pretty up there streamers. If you guys know like Trick2G, Someone G, folks like that, it was around that level. And right at the last second, and I mean literally last second, we were like maybe 20 minutes from going live. The manager of the group we were working with hits me up and goes, "Hey, I didn't realize that you guys had raised almost $2 million in game codes. We want to be paid for this." And I'm like, "What? Are you serious?" Like, I literally just pushed out the live tweet. Like, you telling me you guys aren't gonna show up? They're like, "Well, since you told us you didn't have money and you raised all this, so you got to have money." And I'm like, "No, they're digital codes. That's the whole point. There is no money changing hands here." And so we actually had no streamer whatsoever representation. They actually fully pulled out of the event. And it was a bit rough. Thankfully, though, a lot of the folks we worked with were very understanding. Shout out to the University of Washington. Their game incubator actually donated Ghostly Manor, did a lot of codes back then. Really good game. But it was just, to this day, I will admittedly not work with any of the talent that were part of that group. Some of which I would have to go and piss off Loaded and a couple other people. But it just it blew my mind. I don't really have words for it. That you can't pull that on
Wow.
nonprofits at the last second.
Wow. All right.
And they wanted, like, kid you not, like a 5-figure amount. This was not even a small amount of money.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. So, not fun. But communities are awesome. So thank you guys.
Okay. So lighter note, because this is heartbreaking.
Yeah, that was rough.
What's a good story you have? Like what? Like give us a really
good
story.
Flip side of things.
Flip side of things. We now want to go good and bring the mood back up a notch, because that just hurts my soul.
That was a huge buzzkill. I liked it though.
Okay. So to circle back to actually this is good because it's a full circle moment. The After Dark party. One of my favorite moments that I've had in my career was like not expected or anything at all. There was a couple that reached out that wanted to come to the event, and as everyone that tried to come to the event knows, like there was a process. You had to like DM me, I had to verify you were in the community or in the industry, et cetera, et cetera. And they were super apologetic. She had just lost her job, I believe, as a community manager, and so her and her husband were coming to TwitchCon as kind of a, hey, we already paid for it, we want to show up type thing. And found out through the grapevine after saying, yeah, you can come, of course, that it was their anniversary, the night of the event. And then crazily enough, the next day was her birthday. And she did not bring this up to me. No one told me this. This was something that like we literally, because I was going back and checking to make sure they weren't crazy folks, I saw in some of her tweets. So without warning or anything, we pulled her and her husband. I literally cut the mic in the middle of the night and gave them a shout out. We all sung her happy birthday. Everyone wished them a happy anniversary. And we got to do this at midnight. So literally as everyone's singing it, it's her actual birthday. They just finished the anniversary. I think there's even a video still of it. It was easily one of my favorite moments, I think, on like just an individual one-on-one level. The Emo and I guys were super happy about it. I think I interrupted them more times than I should have that night, but they loved it. And it was actually one of the reasons why I was really happy to work with them again going forward.
That party was lit, by the way. I remember it.
It was, and I wish they had canceled TwitchCon. I know you guys are gonna kill me in the chat for this, but because I want to talk so bad about the party that I had planned for this year.
Oh, don't even start. Don't.
Oh!
No. No. No.
Yeah.
No.
I
don't want to hear
not.
it. I don't want to hear
it. It was stupid.
I want to hear it.
To
I
give
love the
context,
party.
guys, we had no sponsors at this last one. We had like some really amazing, I shit you not, like it was a group of like 10 kids that got together and we threw in like 1,000 or 2,000 here from tons of little startup companies. And then HyperX came in just as they want to support the 1,000 Dreams Fund. I got real sponsors for this one this year. So I'm a little salty about that. Wait, to tease people a little bit, Purell and Dove were going to be sponsors of the event.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
really
it's going to be a naked soap party, is what you're telling me.
The biggest piece of feedback I got, because I wanted to do this around E3 back when I thought COVID wasn't going to be a big thing, which I was very wrong on. I acknowledged it publicly. The whole joke was that like people would only show up if they could guarantee that people were clean, because of course going to gaming events, some folks aren't super hygienic. So
That's
like
so
my way to make sponsors feel better and people feel better was that there were literal like in order to come in, you had to go through a station that had like what is it called? Like hyperallergenic cleaning supplies, but you had to wash up to the elbow from hand down. You had to wash your hands. People had branded face masks they were gonna get. The goodie bags were all like hygiene oriented. It was we were gonna go with like a clean party theme. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was really looking forward to that one. But stay tuned because a lot of those folks did sign on, and weirdly enough, we actually got a celebrity backing from a group that want to do it whenever we can kick things back up. So you guys will definitely hear about that as soon as LA lets me do more than 10-person gatherings.
Wow.
Seriously. Well, maybe by then you should talk to Next Level Talk Show and see if they want to get in on that sponsor. Just saying.
I might need some.
We like to party.
we know a few people. I'm just throwing that out there.
You guys might know one or two folks.
Yeah, no one big. Don't worry about it. All right. Well, it's fantastic getting to know you a little bit more, Kevin, and sharing that with our wonderful audience. So we're going to get into the real meat of what I'm super passionate about, and just to give you guys a little bit of context, I have about 10 years of contract experience doing it for companies professionally, along with reviewing with lawyers in legal formats. Amanda also reviews them as the primary business person. So when we're talking about these contracts, it is from a place of education and place of working with legal teams. So when we review things and when we talk about these contracts, it's not out of our ass. So just keep that in mind when we're going through this. So this is very important to us that people understand how to look at contracts and what you should and shouldn't be doing. And hilariously enough, as I was doing some research online, I found this wonderful thing. And this wonderful thing is...
Wait, Torb, real quick, do you want to explain to people why? Because I don't want you to undersell yourself. Why it is so cool that you guys are doing a contract review on stream and how that's a big deal.
So,
because I don't know if people understand.
Tell us why it's so cool.
Contracts inherently are a no-no for people to review or talk about outside of their agent or their agency or individually beyond anything in an open forum. So the fact that we're doing this should bring a lot of credibility into what you should actually be paying attention, because this is not done. This is a service that's paid for. What we're about to do, what we're about to talk about, what we're about to present is a paid service that is typically thousands of dollars sometimes in order to do. And we are doing it because we want to educate the community. It is important that you understand that the things that we're about to talk about can change how you view yourself as a content creator and what you do when you go to market with yourself, and how you can negotiate on your own behalf with companies, because a contract can make or break you. And I literally mean that, because if you sign a contract that has certain clauses in it, company could own you, period.
Literally.
So that's why this is so important for you to understand what we're about to do, because as far as I know, this has never been done. We're about to do something that's never been done. And not only are we going to talk about bad contracts, we're going to review a live contract that is sent out to influencers right now and talk about that as well. So we're going to do both sides of this coin here. We're going to talk about bad contracts, things to look out for. Then we're going to talk about an actual contract that we looked at and actually reviewed and talked about and helped give clarification on because of certain things that were in there. And so Amanda's going to start us off, and we have a couple different points. We're not going to go through the entire contract here on the bad how to look at a bad contract. But please go check this guy out, Mark Cohen. He wrote this, and his entire intention of writing this was to do one thing and one thing only: teach lawyers what not to do. Because if the lawyers do this stuff, this is why bad contracts are made. This is why, people get into pitfalls and do things. We shared the link in chat. Please go there. You can follow along and take a look at what we're doing and read through it yourself. I would highly encourage you to go check this article out, because he has more. I actually did some background research on him as well and made sure that he is who he says he is, and made sure that he actually cares about education and contract information. So a lot of the stuff in here is not going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people because he does talk about a lot of different terms. We're not going to go into the legalese. We're not, because legalese as in and of itself is nonsense, and that's the purpose of it. So Amanda's going to start us off, and what we're going to do, just so everyone can follow along, is we're going to go to number 5. And number 5, and I've marked these on the side, so if you need to, all you have to do is hit the numbers, and it will be able to take you right to that one. And she's going to start us off here, and we're going to walk through the different things that you need to be on the lookout for when you're looking at contracts yourself, and what's important to call out. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of information in here, so take your time. The best thing I can say about reviewing a contract is if you don't understand it, don't sign it. So Amanda, go ahead and start on number 5 for us.
Okay, awesome. Just to kind of bounce off of what Torben said, I'm not going to be reading this to you. I've highlighted about 8 different sections throughout these 20 some odd sections that I think are the most important. And I will kind of go into and explain why. So number 5 being defining key terms. This is so incredibly important. Obviously, when you're in gaming, Blue Mike knows gaming terms the way I know gaming terms. But when you start working with non-endemic companies like Dove or other products that are not gaming specific, key terms are very important so that everyone is on the same page. When you're talking about a social post, what does that mean? For someone that doesn't understand Twitter, what does the social post mean? What are FTC guidelines? Like what does it mean to be in a partnership? So really defining every single key term is really important so that you're not on different pages. I actually had this come up recently a few weeks ago where the client was under the impression that this meant one thing when it really meant another, and there was just so much communication just lost in translation because it wasn't properly outlined. It'll save you a huge headache and a lot of contracts, I think.
Like a misconception a lot of people don't realize is that like you can ask for red lines on a contract. Like
And you should.
Like I'll be honest, if you don't ask me for edits on a contract, or God help you, if I'm employing you and you don't come back to me with a counter offer for that employment, I will admit you will lose respect in my opinion, just because that is what contracts are for. Mm-hmm. Also, specificity of T terms, like you just addressed, Amanda, like that. If something feels vague or general, ask for them to specify. You want, especially if you are being held accountable for a deliverable, for it to be a specific thing. So if it's social posting, ask for it to be labeled. Is it a tweet? Is it a Facebook share? What is it?
So I want to read to you something that was a snippet from another contract. I'm not going to disclose any information on the company, but this is what it says. Company means all information, data, text, message, software, sound, music, video, photography, graphics, image, and tags that we incorporate into our services are ours. So that means, so everyone understands fully, if you signed this contract and you as an influencer acknowledge that they are allowed to now use all of those services, it means that you gave away your phone fully. It means you gave away your email. It means you gave away everything on your stream. It means you gave away all of your social media. It means you gave away all of your video rights. It means basically you gave your entire life to this company and you said it was okay. So not being able to define a term or a piece of information is so critically important that if that was in there, I absolutely would 100% say, don't sign this for whatever reason. And because it's so vague on what that means, that's not defining anything. And that's the type of thing that you need to look out for, because if you don't understand it, do not sign it. And I'm going to say this over and over and over again, because that is the most important thing to take away from this.
Lawyer's job is to be vague and to get as much from you in a contract as humanly possible without specifying. Your job is to nail them down to specifics. If you don't, you're only hurting yourself.
Yes.
And also, Torben, is that the contract I think that is?
Yes.
Oh God. Okay. Makes sense.
So I'm literally not going to, like, there's a couple key things that I'm going to bring up and as we talk through here on different action items that are important for us to call out as far as like different information. Now we're going to move on to, I believe it was number 7, yep. Amanda?
Yeah, using consistent terminology. This may sound really simple, but when I read contracts and you call this contract a contract, then you call it an agreement, then you call it a document, I'm confused and I don't understand if you're referring to something else. So if you constantly call it an agreement, call it an agreement throughout, because if you then change it to document, I'm thinking there's an exhibit A or exhibit B. That's the document that I need to refer to. So it just cuts down a lot of confusion and lawyer costs, because for me, I review contracts for most of AMG's business. And if it's something that's confusing, I have to send it to my lawyer. And I don't want to have to do that. So you're going to save me and my company a lot of time and money if you keep things consistent. With our own contracts, we keep it consistent. Our lawyer made it. It's fantastic. Makes it easy. We rarely have red lines for our own contracts, which I appreciate. And I'm sure creators and companies that work with us appreciate that as well.
So
Keep in mind too, guys, sponsorship agreement, partnership agreement, sponsor deal, like each one of these terms do have different meanings legally.
Yep.
So make sure you are signing the right type of document as well.
correct. And in conjunction with that, if they're using misinformation as far as the terms in there, they could be talking about a completely separate document that they haven't disclosed and haven't given to you, that they then can use against you. Because if they say in the document, right, they can slide that in as an amendment and say this document, and then attach something or have something as part of an email chain of this 15 bajillion email chain, because I've seen it before. And then later on, they'll come back and say, oh yeah, we attached that to you. You already had that. Like, this is information we gave you. And we already called it out in the agreement and you signed it. Like, so their job is to mislead and make you do things you don't realize you're doing.
And I'll
So
tell you
again,
now, like, I've seen it happen.
Yep.
If you don't understand something, don't sign it.
Don't ever sign something also where you don't see all the paperwork.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've had to catch friends that are like, oh yeah, they just sent me over the DocuSign with like the details and then that, and I'm reading through and I'm like, guys, this is a 47-page document. You only have 35 of the pages here. Where are these other pages? Like, I have watched someone get screwed out of a 6-figure settlement because they did not read that extra paperwork. And there was literally a line in there saying, by signing this, you agree that you are waiving the right to view the previous paperwork.
And this actually leads us
please
directly
read.
into our next one, which is number 10.
Number 10, always number the paragraphs and the pages. I am not your mother. I am not there to go on an Easter egg hunt for paragraphs. It makes it so easy when reviewing contracts, redlining contracts, when you have paragraphs written out. So when creators have questions about a contract, they say, page 6, paragraph 11, boom, done. Instead, you're counting and going down. To me, that's very simple. It doesn't require a lot of explanation, but will save you a huge headache.
Correct. And this is back to Kevin's point of, if it says a number at the bottom and those pages aren't there, ask for them.
They are legally required to provide them to you, by the way. But if you sign something that has something that it says that they do not, you are screwed. Just throwing that out there. Like, you can't go, oh, I didn't see it, because the judge is going to look at you and go, well, you said that you don't need to see it because of the signature. Sorry.
Right. The law is not on your side. The law is to screw you over. The law is to uphold the contract that's in front of you. So you have to be smarter than that.
Civil court, guys, is not about right or wrong. It's about who has the better argument and better worded paperwork.
Yep.
Yep.
Just saying.
100%.
And now we're going to move on to number 11.
Also super straightforward. You have to specify the date, the time, and the place of performance. So obviously we're not talking about a live venue most of the time. A lot of the time these contracts are virtual. But when you're talking about the performance, so when we're contracting with Blue Mike, what we're saying is the performance will be here at this Twitch link, on Twitter at our Twitter link. We are specifying the exact places that the work will be done, when it's expected to be done, the frequency, etc. When you don't include this type of information, they can ask you to do anything, and because it's not specified, you are contracted to have to do that.
Specify everything all the time. It should be very clear, very plain English. If the contract is not in clear, plain English that you can understand, don't sign it.
And guys, keep in mind, this is actually twofold important, because I see a lot of people talking about this in the chat as well. Companies are not only out to make sure that they're covered, but the other thing you have to keep in mind is a lot of these guys use templatized documentation. So you can't even claim that that lawyer is trying to screw you over. There could have been something where they didn't read it, they used a template, and now even they don't know they screwed you over. So please read
Absolutely.
your docs.
So,
And I would say that is the case a lot of times that I see, is that it's either a template or a lawyer made them a document for a specific instance that is not directly replicatable to your instance. So things won't make sense because you're like, wait, I'm not doing a live stream, I'm doing a YouTube video or whatever it is. So you have to be aware that there will be things in there that don't make sense and you have to catch it. Otherwise, you owe them a live stream because the contract says it.
So additionally with this, getting an outside opinion that is not legal counsel, someone who is a contract person who understands and can look at it from a layman's perspective and from a content perspective and everything else is good. And this is why we're going over this as well, because if you get a legal document back from your lawyer, his job is one thing and one thing only: to one, save the company money, and two, make money, right? So he is not going to allow someone to come in and change anything unless he approves it or they approve it, right? So you have to understand what your lawyer is writing. So if you're a company out there, make sure that you are fully understanding what your attorney or legal counsel is giving you. If you're not, you need to go back and have them explain it to you, because they could be screwing you over as well, and you don't even know it.
A lot of times too, I've found that like asking someone to layman's terms to translate also lets them catch things that they normally don't catch, because these guys are used to looking at hundreds and hundreds of pages of documents every day. They're going to skim, they're going to look for the things that look familiar. But I've had numerous contracts where I've been sitting on and be like, hey guys, why is this in here? Like my favorite one is non-competes, and where the governing body is California. I laugh my ass off at that because you can't enforce those here. So I always ask, like, why is this in here? Half the time they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I guess we can get rid of this. Sure, yeah. So ask questions.
I at a previous agency, who shall remain nameless, tried to say that I had signed a non-compete. Honey, I live in Los Angeles. That is impossible. I did not.
Governing bodies are important on contracts, guys.
Yep.
Absolutely are. We are going to move on to number 17 now.
Number 17. I absolutely love this one. This is so important. Talking about addressing dispute resolution. So what this means is when there are problems, how do you fix it? Are you going into mediation, arbitration, litigation? A lot of contracts I've seen require you to waive arbitration. This is not always in your best interest, so decide what makes the most sense for you. More specifically related to the gaming space, because that to me is like a very corporate, large-scale dispute resolution. But when a content creator doesn't fulfill their end of the contract, what are they owed? So a content creator does the video wrong, doesn't post a tweet correctly, doesn't represent the brand correctly. What is in the contract that the company can go and mitigate damages? Or on the flip side, if a content creator is not given everything from the brand that the brand promised, how are they able to resolve it? When you clearly outline this, it's so important. It's the difference between being paid the full amount for your work, being paid half, or being paid nothing.
It's also worth noting that like the types of damages outlined in that section are very important too. I've seen some people think they were in a really good spot contract-wise, where they were at most going to pay out maybe like 10K, and then this nice little thing called punitive damages came in, and legal fees, and all of a sudden they actually got set with a little bit shy of a $500,000 settlement that they had to pay, and they didn't think anything about it because the whole time in their head risk assessment was 10K payout, I don't care. So
yeah, but those things add up. Everything adds up.
Yep.
A lawyer's job again is to make money, so they're going to charge you for things like travel fees. They're going to charge you for transport fees. They're going to charge you for anything and everything they possibly can to get their hourly rate onto whatever it is. So that means that if it's not their core company, they're going to do everything they can to get fees from that person in order to mitigate their costs, which they don't really have because they're lawyers. Like, they're already getting paid.
Something to keep an eye out in these kind of sections too. I've only seen it rarely, but it's generally in the really scummy contracts, is make sure, especially if you're having someone make this doc for you, that they do not list themselves as the required attorney to handle these situations. I've only seen this happen 3 times, and every single time the person who did it wrote a very sloppy contract that caused problems down the road, knowing they were going to be the legal counsel required to deal with the arbitration.
Yep.
And made stupid money off of it.
It actually talks about that in this document. It specifically calls that out in here. So I would encourage everyone to go through and read this, like really read this.
Yeah, we only have a few more to go through. Again, just like ones we wanted to highlight, but definitely read through the whole thing.
We're going to switch on to number 22. Which
Do
is
not
hilarious.
copy and paste from the internet. Please don't do it. It doesn't make any sense for your contract. It will not, I promise you. It's very obvious. The language is different. And that's when you can go back to when a document talks about this document and agreement, it's likely someone copy and pasted a bunch of things they thought were relevant together that actually makes zero sense when put together.
There's actually a legal, the same way there is a service that checks essays of college students for plagiarism. There's a legal service that is a free small business service. I think it's like based out of New York or something, but they have a website. You can actually upload your documents. Keep in mind, you do waive privacy on those documents. So do not do this for any documents you already have an NDA covering. But you can actually look up and see if this is like a template ripped off online and from where.
Yes.
It's very important that you understand having a format is fine. That there's nothing wrong with getting a format of a contract that you're going to work off of, but you need to specify that contract for your company. And if you're an influencer, you absolutely need to make sure that you're not getting like some random contract from someone else, because that could also lead into a lot of other legal problems as well. Because if they ripped that off of another company, that company could come after you and them. So
that is confidential information.
Keep that these things in mind when we're going through. We're now going to move on to number 24, which I absolutely personally emphatically hate when I see this.
Do not be redundant. Do not say the same thing 5 times over in a slightly different way every time. It does not make your point any clearer, and it's only confusing and makes you sound kind of dumb.
It's just there's no reason for it. Again, I'm going to come back to this point because I'm going to keep on saying this over and over, everyone. If you don't understand the contract or something doesn't make sense, don't sign it.
But Torben, only half of it's in Russian.
A little bit's in Chinese.
Then don't sign that half.
Don't sign that half. I'm sorry, I've only signed pages 1 through 6. I left out the signature page too, so I just scribbled in the top corner. Deal with it.
So you have full rights at any given time if you're signing a document to say, this entire page right here, I don't agree with and I'm not signing. Like, that is something you have full rights to do and negotiation power. If for whatever reason you don't feel confident in a section, you can request it be removed and or modified to fit whatever your needs are. You do not have to sign anything. You are not obligated whatsoever under any circumstances to sign anything you don't feel confident in. So that's why I say, don't sign it. All right.
The massive amount of
yeah. So let's
last
move on to
but not
25.
least, number 25. This is my favorite and one of the most relevant for me. When we're in a competitive landscape like we are here in gaming, people are trying to pull you from, if you're with G Fuel, some Monster wants you. If you're with Red Bull, someone else wants you, and you're constantly trying to see, can I get out of this contract? How long am I held? And the biggest thing here and what number 24 covers is 25 is what constitutes effective notice. Are you able to get out of a contract in 2 days, 7 days, 30 days? Never? What does the contract say? And how are you able to get out of it? And I say that because you have to give effective notice.
So
and how you breach contract should also be something you look out for too.
Absolutely.
Formal notice. A lot of people don't realize if you say you are mailing them a hard copy and that is how you have to notify them, you can be sitting in court and a judge will look at you and go, so have you mailed them a letter yet? No? Okay, cool. You lose your suit. Leave. Go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen it happen. It's very awkward.
I'm going to read another snippet from a contract. It says, the survival of the following sections shall survive the expiration or termination of this agreement. Revenue shares and payments, property rights, confidential effects, termination and expiration, indemnification, disclaimer, limitation of liability, non-solicitation, and general. So
sorry, I just threw up a little bit there. Sorry.
That's a ton of legalese. That is a ton of legalese. For everyone else who doesn't understand that, here's what that means. This contract, even after it's terminated, lives on forever. Essentially. They own you indefinitely. So again, this is another example of why clear, concise information is important. And that clause right there literally made me rage quit. I went outside and punched a wall after I saw this because I was so incredibly pissed because of what happened around this. And I'm very much a big advocate of understanding what a contract is and why it's important to be able to push back and say, no, this is not okay. because sometimes companies out there do not have your best interest in mind. Not all of them. Like some of them are amazing, but also, as it was brought up in chat, the CM or the influencer manager may be the most amazing person in general, but they don't have control of the contract that is sent to you. That is from the legal team. They cannot dictate what is given to you. They can only give it to you. So they may be awesome, but they can't do anything about it. So you have to take that relationship and personal personal relationship and take it out of the equation and look at this from a business standpoint, because it's very important that you don't use feelings when you're reviewing a contract, because lawyers don't give a fuck about you. Zero fucks to be given.
You guys should also note the thing that's most terrifying about the example of Torben brought up is the fact that it lives outside either the termination of the contract, which is insane, or the termination of the company, means that as long as they do not file bankruptcy or something that allows them where they have to give up legal claims to something, they could be literally operating on a dead level. Someone comes in and pays the guy $5 and he now owns your rights. He can go backwards. He can strike down your YouTube content. He can sue you for using your image and likeness without his permission or her permission. Like that is a terrifying thing.
So this is the last point we're going to have here on this, and then we're going to move on to the actual live contract. And this is, in this, lawyers are taught to use legalese as much as possible. And what is legalese? It's Latin. Does anyone understand Latin? I sure as hell don't. Most people don't.
Kevin, put your hand down.
Shut up, Kevin.
And one language, all right? One language is all I got in high school, and I took Latin because German was full, all right? And I learned it at home.
Most people, the common person, does not understand Latin. And legalese is literally to misdirect you so that they can use terms and information that will mislead you into thinking it's something else. Like aforementioned. What the fuck does that mean? Does anyone know what aforementioned means? Just shut up, Kevin. Don't even say anything. No, stop. Most people don't know what aforementioned mean. Most people don't know what internum means. Most people don't know what a lot of these terms mean. And if you sign these contracts, you are then giving away your rights. You are literally giving that free will that you have and saying, fuck it, don't need it, and giving it to the company, because that is effectively what legalese does for them. They can basically use those terms to their advantage and as loopholes to screw you over in court. And they will if they ever comes to legal action. Now, another thing to note is that there are ways to get out of contracts that have grandfather clauses. There are ways to get out of contracts that are, expire after a year. There are ways to do these things, but you have to do your due diligence and understand what it is you are doing and signing. And this is, again, why we're doing this, because we want to educate everyone. We want them to see what we're looking at and why. And if you have questions, please ask now before we move on. Because once we move on, we're going to move on to this contract and we're going to talk about it. And like I said, both Kevin, me, and Amanda both heavily looked at this and reviewed a lot of the information on here. And I'm going to bring up some stuff that was even brought up to Kevin about information that we pointed out that were good and bad and how to protect a lot of different people. Yes, this will be on YouTube. This will be a video on YouTube that you can go back and review later on and listen to what we're actually saying and see a lot of the stuff. This document's also going to be posted on YouTube along with it. So anyone at any given time can come in here and search it, because we want you guys to be educated about what you're doing. If you're educated, it means that you won't get screwed over. If you don't get screwed over, it means that you'll stay in the content creation game longer, which means that you'll eventually become a better content creator as a whole.
And just one thing to add before we jump into the contract we will be reviewing, we also have a super cool, fun announcement afterwards. So, yeah. Stay around. Stay around.
All right. So,
warn people about this doc, though. This doc was made by 3 people that are not lawyers. So, the reason why I bring this up, not only because the 2 people above me right now are amazing people that I come to when I need to work through contract things because of their experience, but also this will be easier to understand intentionally than most contracts. So do not expect this when you go and talk to a Twitch or a YouTube or something like that. The whole idea is this is supposed to be an easier contract.
Yes.
So if you think what you're about to see is complicated, you should talk to people like the ones above me next time you're reviewing a more complicated contract.
Complicated contracts do not help anyone. Anything that's over 10 pages is probably going to screw you over.
Or a lease agreement.
No, well, sign your life away with that. All right, so
Is happening.
That lead and mold check here in LA.
here
man.
is what we're doing. This is called our wonderful friends over at Shot Call have graciously allowed us to review their sponsorship agreement. And what this is basically we're going to go through and look at all of the information here. Now, this is not a public document I'm going to send out. This is just something you're going to have to review on stream with us, just so you can see it, because this is public, but it's not public. We are sharing this only because we're being allowed to share this. We specifically asked to share this because of how the document is written and what it is. So we're going to go through a lot of this.
Could you give us like a 2-sentence elevator pitch on what Shot Call is, just so our audience is aware of what this lovely platform is?
Sure. I'm going to apologize in advance to Tom, my CEO, because he's going to hate me for not using all the buzzwords that we like to normally use. The TLDR is, and as a lot of folks even in the chat can attest to, because I do see some of our partners in here, Shot Call is a service platform. The idea is that we want to be a turnkey solution for every streamer, every company, every org. The same way you guys know when you go live, you need to tweet out that you're going live. That is the level of universal use that we want to see out of our platform. Our service allows you to play games with your fans, give your fans coaching lessons. You can charge people for these amounts if you want to. You can take that money and put it towards donations to some of the nonprofits that are on our site. There's a lot of really useful engagement, which is the whole purpose of this platform that comes out of it. And actually, as of yesterday, we even had feedback from Bowling Otter, which is one of our larger partners, that he has actually seen, I believe it was a little bit shy of a 10% increase in his CCV in the last month that he's been using the platform. So the idea is to help improve revenue options for you guys, as well as to give you a chance to, in a more organized way, engage with your fans.
So Shot Call is an awesome platform. You should absolutely check it out. The link is in chat if you guys want to take a look at it. We are active on that as well. So back to the contract. So
I do want to throw one thing out there real quick, just because I hate hearing other people use this term. So I'm going to use it myself so everyone can kick me afterwards. This is a platform for gamers, created by gamers, both content creators and fans. And I hate hearing that phrase, but I will literally say it is applicable to our company because all of us and the entire staff has worked in influencer management, marketing for gaming, or brand representation in gaming. All the users that are on our site are obviously fans or gamers. The last 3 big product pushes we did based off of community feedback. So the idea is we don't want to make things that we think you want. We want to make things that you're going to actually use, which was literally a question in our last partner survey.
So here we go, fam. First and foremost, as we enter this agreement, the first thing that we see is a very clear start date. So right off the bat, they're defining what the start date is. They're defining who the company is. They're defining who the person is and what a creator is as far as the information provided to you in the beginning of the document. This is very important because it allows you to know what is being referred to in the rest of the document. So as you scroll through this and you see the rest of the information that's in here, when you see those terms, person or company, you will know that these terms are being mean. And they start with this. So that's very important because it's being very clear on what these terms mean. So if there is any redundancy or anything else, we can see that immediately. In addition, they immediately start off by defining what a session is, by defining what a profile is, by defining what their services provide, and why it's important that you know this information, along with information and examples of every different thing that's in there. So you'll have a lot of this information from the get-go, being able to understand right from the start what you're looking at and what these terms mean. So when they refer to them in the rest of the document, you know what a profile is, you know what a session is. You can scroll right back to the top and be able to see it immediately. This is why this is a good contract, because it's defining terms ahead of time before we even get into anything. So that's part of having a good contract in general. We also have terms of sponsorship period, where it's the effective date. We have the compensation. We have exactly what you're going to get paid, how you're going to get paid, what the percentage is going to be. They're going to define this information up front. They're going to define the terms of the sponsorship period. That's how long the contract's for, right? This is how much you're being paid for. This is how long the contract's going to work for. Like if it's 6 months, cool. If it's 7 months, cool. It's whatever that effective date is, and they're defining that. After that, the contract is terminated, and it says so right there in the line. It says after this date, it effectively terminates. That is very clear information. This is what we're talking about as far as being clear and being concise about what it is that you're looking at from a contract perspective. Next, we're going to look at compensation. It's going to go into more greater detail what a sponsorship fee is, how they pay out. The company agrees to do X. Here's what they're not willing to do, and they're not using a lot of this legalese information. They're actually using a lot of very clear, understandable words. There's a couple in here that are a little iffy, but again, if you don't understand it, don't sign it.
Feel free to ask us questions too on that one. I will admit there is some legalese, quote unquote, or extra padded wording that we did have to include, not because we wanted to, but because lawyers actually told us in order to protect ourselves and the content creators, we had to put that in there because there are some legal terms that do specify or quantify what the following statement means. And without them, they don't carry the same weight legally.
So what he's talking about are things like this: notwithstanding and foregoing, right? These are two legalese words that are used very commonly. They're not bad words. You just need to understand exactly what this phrase means, right? So we're not going to go into every single detail of this contract. We're not going to talk about every little, portion of it and all the different legalese that is in here. There is reasons for why some stuff needs to be in here just so that it can actually cover various different topics. So it is important to understand that there are times for it and there are times not to use it. If it's being overused, like if this entire sentence right here was nothing but legalese, I'd be like, don't sign this, right? It's until they can clear that up and make it a more understandable sentence, I'm just gonna be like, no. So just keep that in mind. Like there are some uses for it and reasons for it. Next, we have the content, services, and obligations. This tells you specifically what you are responsible for and lays it out in such great detail that you can see what you need to do and how you need to do it, and calls out action items. This is important. If this does not exist in a contract, you need to have it exist, because this tells you specifically what you are responsible for as the creator. Going back to the bad contracts, if it's not defined what you're responsible for, they can ask you to do anything and everything. So as Amanda's example, if we didn't get specification here, they could say, oh, you have to stream 17 times in the month, and you have to give our logo this, and you have to tweet 17 billion times. Oh, because we didn't tell you, that's not our fault. You just have to do it anyways. Here, they're defining all of this information.
I'd also suggest, if you guys are getting contracts with these, look for specific terms that narrow down scope. Like B right now says creators should dedicate a space on their primary content creation platform. We did that specific term because we don't want to dedicate or dictate where you're doing. If you want to move over to Twitch because you're a Mixer partner, cool. This was something that generally companies will actually nail you down on, that we left general in order to provide the creators, yourselves out there, the ability to still move fluidly without having to follow a bunch of really over the top stuff.
Okay. So our next part. So again, this is defining more information. This is defining what it is, specific actions that you need to do. So exclusivity.
This is my favorite one personally, and one that I work with so much. So when you work with a company, most companies will ask you to be exclusive to their brand, their product, their service. So obviously with Shot Call, they're asking you to only use them as that type of brand and service. I know there aren't that many other platforms like it, but imagine a space where we're talking about energy drinks, for example. If you are sponsored with G Fuel, you cannot be seen using other products like Monster, Red Bull, Bang energy drinks. This is a huge no-no. So when you're looking at exclusivity, they very clearly outline this here on what are non-conflicting companies, meaning you can have an OnlyFans account because, get it, girl, you can have a Patreon, you can be part of these other platforms and services and applications. So they're explaining, these are the 4 applicable markets. These are examples that are not part of that.
So fun fact, when we first started reviewing this, I looked at that and the examples weren't there. And it just simply said applications, marketplace, platforms, and software. And I called Kevin. I said, Kevin, the reason why this is bad is because if you don't give examples of things that are non-conflicting, you basically own that person and all of the software. I can't stream on, I can't use OBS now because that's software. I can't use Streamlabs. I can't use, there's a number of things. I can't use Windows because I'm locked down to you. And that's why defining terms is very, very important. So he went through and added in these different things of what is not competing with us, and they're defining this because their application and their marketplace is all those different platforms, and all they're asking you to do is make sure that you're not using a competitor at the same time, right? That's what this is. But if you don't understand that, and that's what the intention is, and I know that that's not what the intention was, that it needs to be defined. And so you have full rights to push back and say, hey, I don't understand this. Please explain it to me, right? I want to make sure that I fully understand what you mean by these terms and get it in writing. Everything should be in writing. If it's not in writing, it needs to be in writing, because that's the only way that you can be held up in court, period. If you don't have it in writing from the company, you're screwed.
Don't ever fall into that, oh, let's hop on a call and discuss trap. If you're going over documentation, legally binding documentation, do not get on a call, for the love of God. Amanda's going to kill me because I know agents love getting on calls. It is immediately easier. But if you are trying to get clarification on a point or validation, you have to see it in the writing. That's why we did it. If you look at ours, for example, like we don't just tell you the verticals that we're claiming. We then lay out in those verticals specifically the very, very specific context of what we're doing. And then as Torben suggested, we even put in the examples because we want people to feel comfortable. That's not something a lot of companies do. You can ask for that. If when you guys hit me up and said, hey, I want to make sure this doesn't violate my agreement, and you ask me about it, I go, cool, let me add that into your contract real quick. I'll send you an updated version. Please re-sign it, send it back to me, and we'll go from there.
I love it.
Just switch over to, because things make me switch things, and wow, I feel
What?
Buttons.
Don't mind
What?
me. I'm very hot. My room is very hot. I feel weird.
Torben, you are so hot and so weird.
Wow.
I can agree with both.
Just stop.
Did
Just
I?
stop.
I
Just
need to segment. I need a tangent real fast.
Okay, you do that.
It was really humbling for me. So I was setting up my audio like a week ago, and I'm like around my desk. I'm going around, I'm going under, and I pop up and I'm on camera, and Torben's like helping me, and he's like, Amanda, you look really hot. And I was like, Torben, I didn't realize we were going to speak to each other like this. And he meant that I looked sweaty, that I looked like I was sweating.
It's true. I absolutely did that.
And I didn't tell you that, Torben.
Yeah.
I'm just admitting this right this very moment. But I literally thought you were like, wow, you look really nice today. And I was like, oh, thanks. Then I looked at myself and I'm like, oh, I just look sweaty. That's cool. That's all right.
Yeah.
I definitely confirm via chat that Captain Quinch does look like he could be your younger brother, Torben. I actually FaceTimed with him for the first time yesterday, so I can confirm this.
So I'm gonna go off tangent here just for a second, and then we'll get back onto this. So the first time I met Captain was in Montreal, and I recognized him, and I screamed at him from across the way, and I was like, Steve! He's like, ah! Looked at me, he was freaked out, and I was like, dude, what's up? He's like, wait, are you Torben? I was like, yeah. Oh, it was Vancouver. Sorry, it was Vancouver. And he's like, yeah, I'm Torben. I was like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Steve. And I was like, I know. This is how we met. We had talked previously a ton of times as far as like on the phone and everything, but we'd never physically met. And it was just the most adorable thing because I went up and gave him a big hug. Okay,
amazing.
Back to it. And that's why I love him. He's awesome. If you don't know him, go follow him. Use of marks. So this is how the company can use their logo, how you can use their logo. So it's defining these different terms in here as far as how a creator can actually be effective. So the reason why this is important is if you use a logo on stream, if you use a logo on Twitter, if you use a logo anywhere and it's not defined in a contract when you're using it, that company could sue you because you are using their logo without their permission. So you need to make sure that this is in here and you can actually it's articulated on how it can be used. So product placement, what it can and can't do, like all of this stuff is very important because if you don't have this information ahead of time and you do something like say some racist thing on and you're using their logo, not only will you get your contract canceled, but you'll get sued flat out because you're using their logo in conjunction with what you're saying. And that it can come and reflect back onto a content creator or whoever it is. So just be careful and make sure that you have the use of marks in here. And that's what use of marks means, is that it's talking about logo and what you can and can't do and how you can use it. And then also it's talking about the use and likenesses that they can use on your behalf. So they can use your logos and marks. So marks is referring to your content and their content. So, and if you have information, and if you need to have more information on, you know, like, or you have questions about how to use a mark, right here is a clause that says if you have any questions or concerns, here's who you can email. So it's saying, giving you a direct escalation path on if you have questions or how to actually adjust or massage something so it best represents you, or it doesn't fit with your brand. You can go in and actively have that conversation, and it's calling that out in the document here, which again is very important, because
I would be the person you're talking to, by the way,
Yeah.
in case anyone wants to put a face to that. That is not just a empty inbox where people look at it occasionally. I get directly forwarded emails from that. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. I do want to highlight one part in there, Torben, because I love that we have this in there because I don't see it often. Guys, look for quantifiers for not only who owns the material that's made using your marks, but also where. Like if you look at ours in B, it actually specifically states that anything that we make using your likeness, even if I say put out a social media campaign on Twitter that your likeness is in, you still own that. And why that's important is that gives you agency and legal right to notify us, and we have to take it down. You also won't run into a lot of the call me daddy stuff that's going on right now, where
Right.
people are arguing over who owns what. This makes sure that you guys know from the gate, we don't own anything. We are using things with your permission, and you can revoke that permission when you see fit for a reasonable cause.
if it doesn't fit within your brand, and you
Yes.
have that full right to do so because you own your content. Yes, you're being sponsored, but you own your content, and that is a distinguishing factor here that is very important. So thank you for calling that out, Kevin.
Yep. I also like, and this, I do want to highlight this part because this is actually specific feedback we got from Amanda and Torben. It does say you can request the removal of single creator mark use for purposes of brand integrity concerns. This was a very specific term that was used because a lot of times you will get restricted to hardcore, insanely granular use cases where you can actually revoke permission. This literally says, I don't care what it is. I don't care what you did. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Please take it down.
Right. So why that's important is if, say, for instance, Shot Call goes in and tweets out, hey, we just got this new fashion awesome thing that is from Timbuktu, and here's what it looks like. Oh, by the way, this content creator is using it with us. And you're like, wait a second, I didn't authorize that. That doesn't fit within my brand. I don't like that. That makes me feel really bad. Why did they tag me in that? I'm not okay with this. And if you have that reaction, you can go to them and say, hey, you know what? I don't want to be part of this. And you have that full right to do that because that's why that's in there. And the reason why I asked Kevin to add that in was for that exact reason. Because if they have something that happens with another creator and for whatever reason they're tagged, they're like, and they can't get behind it, you can ask for it to be removed. And that's important because you don't support that. And you can still support the company, but not support the information being provided.
Also learned, Torben, that the single creator mark use is actually even more powerful of a term than I originally knew, because there are actual legal precedent for if you say you wanted to make a takedown that was part of a global campaign, for example, that's a multi-week thing. They can actually refuse that based off of damages that would allot from that activation. But if it is a single creator mark, as long as you list out individually each use, and as it says in the document, the location, that actually gets around a lot of those rules and laws, because at that point you're not looking to ruin a campaign or take someone down. You have instances of single point of conduct you're asking for removal.
Yep. So all of this has legal ramifications, and all of this is important, and you should understand. So if you don't understand what creator mark means, ask. If you don't understand what marks mean, ask. Like that, there's nothing wrong with asking clarifying information. And as Kevin said, don't ask over a call. Ask over email. Always and forever, whenever communicating about contracts, anything that has to do with the contract should be in written documentation. If you are not doing that, you're doing a disservice to yourself. You need to have documentation behind everything.
Also, if you guys see E, that is one I will tell everyone on that is watching right now. If you need to message me specifically to copy and paste that paragraph so that it is in your agreement, message me. I will anytime day or night send that over, because that is something, as someone that cares about creators and knows the backlash creators can get hit with, you need to see that in your documents.
Yep.
That is
Every single
very
time.
important.
So this is the reason why that's important, is it's saying this is your content, right? That's ultimately what this is. And so they can't take that content and use it without talking to you about it.
And a lot of agents or people I've worked with in the past will tell you that. But if you go and read the agreements, half the time that's not actually there, or the other half the time there's actually language that says the opposite. So look out for those paragraphs.
Okay, so we're going to move on. Grants and rights of the company. This basically is just quantifying what it is a company mark is, right? Defining that, and again, defining terms and defining information about this. It's also going to define, you know, what you can and can't do with that marks. This is more in depth with it. So it goes in good detail, and that's actually very important. It also defines what a partnership is, as far as like the company on behalf of itself and affiliates representation, and warrants that, you know, owns the and holds applicable license and other possible legal enforcement rights. So it's dictating specifically what the terms of the marks are, how it can be used, and all that. So again, going into greater detail, having this information in here is good. If you don't understand it, I'd ask. Identification.
C real quick.
What's that?
Do you mind looking at C real quick?
Yeah.
Just because I think that's an important one for folks to know.
Oh, yeah. This is also in there. So if you're underage, this is also very important too.
The big reason the way that's been important lately is our good friends over at Voodoo Ranger in New Belgium have been getting into the space, and also vaping has been allowed on a lot of streams. So look for language like that, because while a lot of people don't enforce it, it can bite you in the ass, or it can prompt conversations like with New Belgium and Voodoo Ranger, for example. They're actually people that when we are making these contracts for folks, if they are partnered, we will actually edit this to have a little bit of extra language that basically says that while you acknowledge that you might have people under the age of 21 that watch your stream or interact with the stream, you're allowed to promote it as long as you are not directly pushing it on those people. So look for language like that, because it is important, especially I know a lot of people vape and drink on streams now.
So where is, I'm looking for a specific clause that we talked about earlier, Kevin.
I think that is up in, is that in the company one? I know which one you're talking about, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm looking. Give me 1 sec. I'm pulling up my version of the doc.
So there's a specific clause I want to point out, and this was I asked Kevin to add this in, not because it was protecting the creators, but it's protecting everyone.
It is. It is in the termination section.
Is it below?
Yeah, it's 8 3.
There it is. Okay, yeah. So
4.
So here's something important to know. So companies that don't have a termination agreement and information around termination and what you can do to terminate the contract, if it doesn't have specific guidelines around this on what you need to do, like written notice, you know, email this or do that, you need to make sure that it does. Also, on the flip side of that, you also need to make sure that so that the company is upstanding and going to benefit you from an influencer standpoint. It has things in termination clauses such as this, where it's specifically talking about harassment. It's specifically talking about if someone does these types of things, their contract will be terminated. Why is this important? Because if you have some racist asshole who's on Twitter and says a bunch of racist stuff, the company that they're representing, aka Shot Call, can go in and terminate their contract. How is that important? You're no longer tied to them because now they've terminated that contract. So if someone comes and says, "Oh, you're part of that shit piece of company, Shot Call," no. I am part of it, yes, but they terminated that contract because that guy's a piece of whatever. Right. So that's why these types of terms are protecting the company, but they're also protecting you. So looking out for things like this that have these types of information in here. And I specifically asked Kevin to add this in because harassment's a huge problem. And there needs to be a clause where they can go in and say, hey, if you do this, this is what's going to happen. And there needs to be direct confrontation and reaction to toxic people in the environment. And having toxic creators is not good. It doesn't help anyone. Being toxic doesn't help anyone, no matter what it is. So having this in an agreement is fantastic because it not only protects the company, but it protects the other creators who could have fallout because of that creator who did that.
And I can tell you guys now, and this will kick me later because as an officer of the company, this is kind of binding. But that clause was a very welcome addition to our contract because in the end of the day, not every creator is going to be a partner. We acknowledge that. But those that do, we want to make sure follow the same core philosophy that we do, which is making a welcoming and opening environment for fans to engage with influencers. So if you are out on Twitter, and let the pitchfork start here, and are one of those people that intentionally causes drama for clicks, I may not see it, our staff may not see it, but if you're a partner of ours and it gets reported, I will terminate your contract and ban you off the platform in a heartbeat. There's a lot of free speech areas. I respect everyone's rights, but this is in our agreement that you are signing as a legally binding contract. So there's no political motivation. There is no feel good. There's no white knight. None of this nonsense. It is just a universal lack of tolerance for negativity and harassment online. That's not our company philosophy. It's not what we're doing this for. It shouldn't be what you guys have to go through.
Yes, Amanda, we absolutely should link the Discord server. Guys, if you're not in the Discord,
Sorry.
you absolutely should be in the Discord. It is
Can one of our mods please link it?
And we are also coming up on our time, so we're gonna have to cut this short a little bit, unfortunately, because we are over time right now. We were supposed to end at 12, but we really wanted to get this information out. So the long and short of this is that this agreement is good, right? Why is this good? Because it defines terms. It defines information that is very important. It has survival and representation contingencies. It has various different amendments that you can write in. It has dispute resolutions. Everything that you're going to want to see. It also has legal fees and what that actually means. So it goes through and really talks about what it is that you're going to be signing, and so that you fully understand it. And this is written in such a way that most people should be able to understand it when they're reading it. And I encourage everyone at all times to read very carefully through contracts prior to signing them. If you do not, you are doing yourself a disservice. With that being said, and I think I've kind of leaked it earlier on accident, we're going to switch back, and Amanda has an announcement for us.
One sec, real quick before we switch.
No, too late. We're gone.
Ah!
What do you want? What do you want, Kevin?
I was just gonna say the one thing that I want everyone to know, because I'm not 100% sure we covered this. This is not just a random contract. This is actually the template we use for our partners. So you guys have not seen some random thing we put together for the show. This is not something we've pulled off the internet. This was literally what, if you signed up as a partner today, you would get from me requesting a signature on.
So
yes, that is good clarification. That's what that is.
That being said, you have an announcement that I already added to the channel and is below, and Amanda has something to say because we're about to link the server. I'm gonna go get the server link while Amanda talks about what we're doing and why.
So super excited. So cool to announce that we are actually partnering with ShotCall. We have known about them, of them, demoed the product, seen the product, felt the product, touched it in the virtual sense over the last 6+ months. So we're super excited to be able to partner with them. And what that means is a few things. One, we just reviewed the contract. Torben and I are super insistent on never asking creators to sign something that we do not think is good for them. So we are giving our stamp of approval. This will mean more in the coming months for sure as we grow, but we are giving our stamp of approval on this contract. ShotCall is not going to screw you over if you sign this. Two, what that means is while we're going through our analysis and helping people grow, so on our normal channel when we review and have content creators on, we will likely be recommending ShotCall for the relevant people. So obviously we're not going to just plug it in mindlessly, but we've identified this platform as a really great performance enhancer, monetization enhancer for content creators. So as you're growing, you could start to monetize even if you don't think you're ready to monetize yet. ShotCall is an awesome tool. And we will also have a demo on in the next coming weeks. I don't know exactly when, but one of the ShotCall team members will be on. And why this is relevant to Kevin's segment is, Kevin, what is your position there? I can't remember.
I'm the Chief Strategy Officer. So everything, I lead up the business development and corporate partnerships team, as well as the influencer department. Basically, if it's not tech related, that falls under my team's purview.
And that's why it's relevant.
And that's why that's yet another reason why Kevin is relevant. So
I appreciate it.
Party!
with that being said, Kevin, thank you so much for being on. You are a phenomenal person. We love you nonstop. And I'm tired. I'm tired. I am hot. This has been an amazing show.
So hot.
Wow, stop.
So hot.
You guys are just dripping
Just
right now.
so happy to be able to have shared this information with the community and be able to continue sharing this with the community, because it's a very important thing to understand. We will be posting it on YouTube, so you guys will be able to see it later. Go check it out over there. Otherwise, guys, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us today and listening to all of our crazy shenanigans. Again, thank you, Kevin, for being here. Amanda, as always, see you guys all next week. Say bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one, and we